Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back once again to the Six Invitational for 2020. We are live here from day number 1 of the event. It's the group stage, and it is time to jump into our second match of the day. And it's going to be a good one, ladies and gentlemen. We have the champions of SI from last year stepping into it. G2 has come back once again, and they're going to be facing off against Reciprocity in their very first match.
Should be a lot of fun. Rec versus Rec versus G2 never happening before. A lot of new people to both of these rosters. Rec making a recent change, and G2 making an even more recent change with Sir Boss. Definitely building up to be something special.
Yes, indeed. We can take a look, however, at the group specifically that these teams are going to be playing in just a moment here and see how exactly everything else is going to be shaping up and how we'll lead through the rest of these games. Here's the bracket you can see now. Now, the other game in this group for Group D, BDS versus Wildcard, is being played over on the Bravo stream. So if you're interested in following that along, you can open up another tab or go ahead and check that out as well. But the focus here is going to be on Reciprocity going up against G2. And this should be a pretty good matchup. It's, you know, anybody who's been following the community knows that G2 had their fair share of struggles making it to this event, failing multiple times through LANs and online qualifiers, and only making it by the grace of the direct invite, more than likely coming from, of course, their victory last year.
Yeah, not too many of the G2 players are happy about that either. It looks like they have a chip on their shoulder, talking to Pengu inside of his streams and everywhere else, even in public. He wasn't happy about the invite. He's like, I don't feel like we really deserve to go. I don't even want to go, but they were invited. They're here, they're ready to play, and they also have a new face with them. It's not Crying anymore. They have Sir Boss on loan from Penta.
And we can take a look at some of the rosters for these teams as well and see who exactly is going to be stepping up to the plate. Stokes has already mentioned Sir Boss, but we've got the mainstays for the rest of this team too. You mentioned Reciprocity's most recent roster change, and we'll take a look at that right now. The newest one being brought onto the team, of course, being Nyx as he steps up to the plate. But besides that, Vertical also joining this squad as well and making it somewhat of a force to be reckoned with. We'll have to see how it plays on land, though.
Yeah, Mark being dropped and Skies going to Dark Zero, so quick adjustments, but they've seen kind of a rocky road inside of Pro League. I think a lot of people assume they would do very well, especially after the United States Nationals, where they proved that they are a team even that early on to be reckoned with. And Reciprocity just falling asleep at the wheel when it comes to Pro League as of late, but this is a LAN team, and they're here to prove that once again.
Even their run at USN seeming a bit odd, winning basically every single match, almost uncontestedly going up to the grand finals, and then dropping that match 0-3, leaving quite a few questions as to what they'd be able to do on LAN performances in the future. It's the same deal here at SI. It's going to be best of threes all the way, and of course, it's going to be a much longer road than we had back at USN, where it was a straight shot through the bracket. Let's take a look at the roster for the other team, though. You guys should be no strangers to this team. It's G2 Esports. You've got the mainstays, Fabian, Pengu, Cancer Raketti, Uno, and now Sir Boss jumping into the squad here for this event specifically to help these guys out.
Yeah, and G2 overall throughout the EU Pro League season has looked so dominant, only dropping very little maps, but now with the addition of Sir Boss, they've looked actually much better. It seems that their executes are a lot cleaner. Just utility usage overall is in the proper areas. Not dying too early with the hard breach is definitely a big tool that they've been able to use throughout their last games.
It's been a really good sight to see for all these players. Been seeing specifically some really good stuff in some of the more recent Pro League games, I think from Pengu as well, who's been doing really good work, even away from helping out with utility. Just from a fragging perspective, he's personally stepped up a lot for me in some of those recent games as well that we had towards the end of the first half of the Pro League season, before, of course, all the teams went on break for this event and had all that time to prepare. That's the big thing as well. A lot of downtime potentially going on, not only when you consider the small amount of games that they play on Pro League, but then all the free time they have in that extra week or two leading up to this. We don't necessarily know what these teams are going to have prepared to throw at us, and a big surprise here at a big event like this, as sometimes they always do.
Exactly. I think that the main thing to bring up between these two squads, as we have Fox and Fabian on the screen, is that EU is the wild, wild west right now, honestly, of all of Rainbow Six Siege. It's incredible how close it has been throughout the entire season so far. Rogue topping the charts with 15 points, and G2 being in 4th with 12. That's only one win away from being in first place, or at least tied.
So for G2, with everything looking strong for them, and again, taking a look at Fabian's stats here, very close between our two kind of stat leaders in this department. Foxy as well, leading the charge by a pretty big margin, I think, at this point. When you look at the overall spread out stats for the team over the past couple of months, Foxy definitely leads the charge. Players like Laxing, at least when it comes to the online department, haven't necessarily always been there and been as consistent as we've seen in the past. There's still plays, that's for sure, especially when, talking about Laxing on a roaming perspective in some of the more recent Pro League games. We're still seeing a lot of good stuff from him there, but it's hit or miss sometimes, and that could be a big worry for them going into this series. Enough about these teams, though. Let's talk about maps. Where do you think we're going here, Stokes?
It's a very good question, my friend. Bank's going to get removed first. I honestly felt like we might see a coastline. Both of these teams have been pretty proficient on it so far. Villa going to get banned out for a Reciprocity. Now we go into the pick stage. So G2 will have first pick. We're going to Consulate, which is a major one you and I actually highlighted last night that we thought we might be playing on. But where is Reciprocity going to send us? That's the major question here. It's going to be Clubhouse, so we're going to go right back into the ban phases. 2 more bans to take, and then that will knock us down to the decider.
And so for Reciprocity, so far these 2 picks are going to be pretty confident for them. Consulate, obviously one that G2 is allowed to go on to as well. The same could be said for Clubhouse, but to be honest, G2 doesn't have the greatest record on Clubhouse, so Rec might have themselves a pretty good advantage there if they're able to leverage the same things that's being leveraged against G2 in those other matchups. For the final decider, though, we end up with Cafe and Coastline banned out by G2 and Rec respectively, and Border ends up being our 3rd and final map.
I like the Border pick, honestly, from Reciprocity. Border is a very straightforward map. It's meted out of its mind. There's really only one way to handle things, so there's no real curveballs that G2 can throw at you because of that ban.
And taking a look at some of the other maps here, specifically looking at, say, Consulate, for instance. Like I said before, this is a map that, while G2 picked into it, it's one that Rec should still feel pretty confident on. They've had a pretty solid record on it as of late, with the most recent game being back on January 21st, where they were able to take a 7-1 victory over LG in the online Pro League stage. So we'll have to see how exactly that goes. We do have ourselves a little bit of a preview for this match, though. A little bit of a video to show you guys here as we talk to some of the teams as they got ready for today's match.
I am Retro. I am a support player, and I play for Team Reciprocity.
My name is Uno, known as Uno Meister. My role is Flex Fragger, and I play for G2 Esports.
So we started last season. We got top 2 in North America. We went to Japan. We placed 3rd place, and that's what took us to Invitational. So this season we acquired 2 new players, Nyx and Vertical. It's kind of old news now, but they're 2 crazy entries. They give us a lot of fragging power for our team, and it's made us a stronger team overall.
Actually, yes. We recently swapped out Green for Sherbos. We loaned Sherbos from Penta. And that made us change roles a little bit. Fabian was playing a support kind of role, and now he's like flex support, and we brought Sherbos, full support player, in the team. So
the current state of our team, I think, is good. We're really pumped for Invitational. We've been prepping for, I don't know how long recently. We've just been prepping for Invitational for a while, and we're hoping to take it.
Well, we've been struggling last 8 months or so. We're trying our best to get back to where we was. People are obviously expecting a lot from us, a lot from G2. I'm feeling comfortable at the moment. I think we have a good shot in here. We're just happy to be here. We're gonna try our best to make our fans and everybody happy.
So in our group we have Wildcard, G2, and BDS. So for our first game we play G2, and I guess that's it.
Our competitors are every team in the Six Invitational, mainly Team Empire, obviously. Wildcard versus BDS is going to be an interesting game because, in my opinion, Wildcard played really well in Japan already against Navi, and BDS, they swapped out a player too. Their LMs came in when Pro League started. They didn't look as good at the start, but they've been getting better and better now when LMs has been longer in the team. So I think it's going to be an interesting game.
So the matchup between BDS and Wildcard is super interesting. I think it'll be a crazy match because Wildcard is known to be a very aggressive team, and they're more of an unknown because a lot of teams haven't played them in NA or EU. And I think it'll be a really interesting match.
I think in our group you should watch every single team, but if I have to bring out one player, it would be silly to not pick up Shaiko from Team BDS.
So in our group, obviously, we want to focus on our team because I am confident we're going to take our group in first place. But if I had to pick one player specifically to look out for, I would say is Pengu. I think Pengu is one of the best players in the game.
Our first matchup is Team Reciprocity. We play them, and it's going to be NA versus EU. They're a good team. My message from our opponent is good luck, keep your head up.
My message to my opponent is watch out, and we're coming for you.
Watch out, we are coming for you. That is the words from Reciprocity. Had a chance to hang out with them a couple of days ago, and they seemed, to put it lightly, very confident about this matchup, and I think that those final thoughts there echoes that sentiment pretty nicely, wouldn't you say so, Sticks?
Yeah, especially with the Clubhouse pickup. I think that's the one that stands out to me the most out of these matches. You and I went through the ban phase a couple of times last night, and never did we land on Clubhouse. And as you said, they seem pretty confident, so that seems like a curveball that G2 might not have prepared for Reciprocity. So we'll see what they can bring to the table, possibly. We've seen quite a few unique bans on that map today, specifically a lot of Goyo bans on Clubhouse, as well as a Thatcher Mav ban twice in a row on Clubhouse between the two first games today.
And interestingly, both of these first maps are also some of the maps that we saw Reciprocity play against Space Station in that best-of-5 finals that we saw played at the USN finals a couple of months ago, too. So you can kind of justify as to why G2 may be picking into it. They're thinking that, okay, they didn't really do too well on these maps on land the last time. We're kind of hoping that they do the same thing here again. So that may also lean into why G2 is feeling comfortable picking into these maps. Let's be honest, they seem like pretty comfortable picks for Reciprocity too at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's just a comfortability thing. As you said, at USN, the roster was basically fresh out of the box, trying to get things figured out, and Clubhouse is a map that you really have to respect as team play. You need that team play to work out, otherwise your utility isn't going to get used properly. You're probably going to burn a lot of exothermic charges or what have you, and that seemed to happen a lot for Reciprocity on that map. But enough about Clubhouse. We're hopping into Consulate, folks. It's G2 versus Reciprocity to start us off for Group D.
Got our first bans coming up. Reciprocity starts on defense. So they get the first and last bans. G2 on the attack. It's our two middle bans. Nomad is going to be knocked out from Consulate. Dealing with some of that anti-roaming capabilities, that is often just too much to deal with for the defenders.
Yeah, Nomad, a mainstay on Consulate and border. They see banned out quite often. She does a very good job of preventing runouts and denying a lot of rotation for the enemy flankers. So going to follow suit with a Thatcher ban, which is something we've seen as kind of a household thing of SI so far. Thatcher just something that makes life easier overall for the offense. Able to get rid of a lot of electronics just from the outside. You simply throw an EMP grenade, it goes off and it removes those or disables cameras. Just depends on what utility gets hit by it. Echo going to remove next, and Echo's somebody that is also a mainstay when it comes to defensive bans. He has two invisible yokai drones. Extremely powerful utility if used properly, and kind of a pest to deal with when you really don't have an IQ.
Yeah, with regards to the Thatcher ban, obviously, again, the most notable thing we're going to be seeing him try to use for is things like, garage wall and whatnot. But there's much more to it. If you guys are avid players or avid viewers, you can throw one of those grenades into a doorway, knocking out like a Capcan trap or a large amount of Legion goo mines that might be sitting in the way. Just clears obstructions and creates sort of a safe zone for your team to pass through, where you would normally have to either check with a drone or just with your face for some of these gadgets or other things that might trip a team up on an execute, and especially with the way that Pro Siege is played and how it often very much comes down to those final 15 to 20 seconds on the clock. You can't really leave room for anything like that to get in your way.
Well, it looks like we got things sorted out with Fabian. We're good to go. Almost had the meme happen with the can again, but it's okay. It was very close. All right, well, Valkyrie going to get removed lastly, but she's definitely one of the most important defenders on Consulate. So many can spots, and it just takes so long to try and scan the entire area, even with IQ, to try and find those Valk cams. So don't want to deal with her. Want to try and keep the offense on pace, and that's why we'll see Valkyrie removed.
It opens up some potential freedom in the attacking operator selection, too. If they aren't going to be expecting as many gadgets, they can now swap out the IQ for something else. It looks like they're still going to bring it this time, however, on Pengu to start things off. And we are going to go to the split site to start. That's where Reciprocity is going to choose to start off their defense. Not necessarily the most traditional thing, but we have started, especially I think in North America, and I think in Latin America, too, we started to see teams experiment with this a little bit more as the comfort factor has increased over the past few months.
Yeah, when they added the site, we saw a lot of people try and adapt it very early on, and it never seemed to work out as well as teams had hoped for. But now, as it's gotten, aged, it seems that Reciprocity and quite a few other squads have actually adapted it very well, and a very intelligent 6-pick as well from Reciprocity. Had the ban out first, decided to go with the castle, don't want to show too much inside of that initial pick in the reveal phase. So Nyx is going to switch operators over, going to cut off quite a few lines of sight with those.
So for those of you guys who haven't seen any of the previous 2 games, obviously we have this beautiful new spectator UI, by the way, to show the information. We can get the expanded view for just a second. For any of you new players out there that may just be watching Siege for the very first time, there's a lot of information in your face right now. We know that, but let's try to help you out a little bit. If you're looking at the attackers, that's the blue team on the left side. Important things to pay attention to. That's the gadgets in the middle right side of the panel, those black circles. Those are going to be the gadgets that each operator has at his or her disposal. And the second thing to pay attention to for the attackers is going to be those drones. That's the thing at the bottom right. That'll indicate whether they have them out on the field or if they're still in inventory. It's very important for the attacking team to utilize drones to the best possible effectiveness, and most importantly, not lose them if they have a choice in the matter. So therefore, they're going to have as much information as possible, and they don't end up walking right into their opponent's setups.
Yeah, the only one that's really going to throw you a curveball is going to be Twitches, because we're not going to be able to see when they die. Since it's her primary utility, as you guys can see, there is no little drone icon under her because her main utility is her drones. The only difference is that hers have a stun on them as opposed to just having a camera.
Also a good idea to keep an eye on grenades in the bottom center part of the UI as well. Utility grenades in general, especially frag grenades, which you could just haul right there on Fabian, are incredibly important and can potentially change the round in just a few seconds if they're properly placed.
In the most layman's term way that we can possibly put it, if you are a nerd like us and you like looking at stuff like that, you are going to love this UI.
Yeah. A lot more that we can talk about here. Like I said, we can now accurately talk about the drone economy at the end of each round. Same thing with unused utility. If teams are going without it, then we know that. You can see an example of a killed drone right there on Cantor-Raketes. He's lost his first one.
Yeah, pretty slow take for G2 so far. They do have some presence upstairs, but Reciprocity line and the strains downstairs. Uno and the rest of the squad still trying to find some information and establishing sight lines with their soft destructions. Now they have some vision downstairs as drone play still ensues. Haven't found too much just yet. Only halfway through. Plenty of utility still to go, and honestly plenty of round left in order to try and breathe some life into this.
This is where this site gets a little bit more difficult for the attackers, as they do have to figure out exactly what the setup looks like so they don't end up running in the trap setup here from the defenders meant to crush them. First kill, though, is going to be found by G2 as Uno strikes to take out Nyx, eliminating the roaming castle, I believe, on the first floor.
Not too big of a pick early on, as they still do have all this bottom pressure, especially with Vertical and Foxay being here with those nitro cells, so we'll be able to deny any plants upstairs. So as you guys can see, plenty of vision going into tellers. That cardiac sensor going to help out quite a bit. They know that someone's inside of electrical. Fabian taking quite a bit of damage, goes for the shots. Oh, doesn't win out though against the Alda. Very dangerous weapon. 81 bullets. Somebody that can aim, definitely a dangerous tool. Foxay with a nitro cell picks up one as things get all the more harder for G2, but they're actually going to get the diffuser down. Didn't see that one coming with all of that vertical play being played from underneath. Shotgun still doing work through the floor. Doesn't pick up too much though. Fox rotates up bottom spiral with Laxing. It seems like these two are going to be at the forefront of this retake.
Unfortunately, it seems like potentially too much control has just been given over to G2 right now. You can see they have this great setup. Pengu up on top of the spiral steps with a fast rotate going through the Visa stairs. He's able to get into position and cut off that rotate from bottom spiral. Kanto finds the next kill here as he's able to take out Foxay, followed up by Kanto, who finishes things off for G2 as they claim control of round number 1 against the split defense.
G2 with a fantastic post anchor there. You saw all the angles that they were holding through the walls just very passively. They know that they don't have to do too much. Reciprocity has to come to them, especially with that setup of the castle barricades. It makes it very hard to rotate. And that's the one issue with those castle barricades is when you do have them set up, once it goes into post plant, a lot of the times they play against what you want to do and how you have to act. The only way to really counteract that is have impact grenades.
Great way to break it down there, and that's exactly what happened. The rotation coming up through bottom stairs gets stuck as a direct result of that castle barricade and eventually picked off by Pengu as he completed his rotate over to the top spiral. Into the second round, though, we are going to go to a more traditional starting site here for the folks on Reciprocity, as they're going to try and hold on to the basement here.
Goyo coming into play. An operator that we haven't seen too much inside of Pro League, even though everyone's praised him for his ability. So we will walk you guys through that. We know it's the Most wonderful time of the year. It's the Six Invitational. We have not a lot of new faces inside of chat. So we'll try and walk you guys through a couple of these guys, because, you know, why not? Fox A is playing Goyo. He's one of our new operators in the game. Came in during Operation Ember Rise. I said Burnt Horizon there for just a second. But Ember Rise. He has Goyo shields, or Vulcan shields, which is the official name. And they have a little gas tank on the back of them. Our regular deployable shields look exactly the same, minus the gas tank. They have little slits in them so you can get a little bit of vision, but hits are special with that gas tank on the back. When that gas tank is shot, the shield actually explodes into a fiery abyss, and it does a lot of damage. So they're very good at either burning the offensive utility or wasting some time.
And wasting time is the key thing here, since actively defending that garage wall no longer really works, just requires too much effort of the defenders to do it. So that's going to be opened relatively easily by G2 here right at the start of the round. Sir Boss will be the one to accomplish that there on the Thermite. Getting the intel deeper into the site, as you can see, Sir Boss is inching forward, that red triangle icon and that very loud noise, giving him a warning that there is a pest deployed by Vertical on the Mozzie there, which would otherwise steal the drone away, giving it to the defenders and potentially a lot of utility with that. The wall, as we mentioned before, though, is going to be opened with relative ease. Now is the process of intel gathering. Never mind, Fabian just rolls right in through Spiral, and he's not alone, too, and knocks out Nyx. Might go for more in a second. Retro's also in trouble. Vert's able to trade one back, though. Catches a trade, but Fabian and Kanto come right back, and just like that, we're in a 4v2. Scratch that, a 4v1 as Fabian strikes another one.
Fabian said he was shooting straight when we talked to him yesterday, and I guess the man is definitely not a liar. Such an impressive play here from G2. Kanto put a nip in that, and that's going to be round 2. Going G2's way as well. Overall, great identification of what the roam game was from Reciprocity. Found out the mid floor was pretty empty, took over tellers, dropped the hatches, and attacked server side instead. That's something that we don't see happen too often on this site, is attacking security hallway. But they didn't have any vision. G2 moved fast enough that nobody was on cameras, and that really, really hurt them. They were so focused on Sir Boss opening up that main wall that they had nobody watching the back.
And so players like Kanto, who's on a roll right now, by the way, 4-0, yet to die in these first 2 rounds, and Fabian run right in, getting complete control and stealing the site directly out of Rex hands. Incredibly early on in the round, too. Very rare to see such a fast attack like that come in and be so successful on top of that. Really props to G2 for pulling it off in such a way.
Yeah, Reciprocity shifting a little bit inside of their lineups as well through the first 2 rounds. Haven't seen that much Jaeger, only seen him for 1 round, but they actually will have him here, so actually going to be on him once again as he's stuck to more of a roaming role. First round we saw him on Mozzie, but now it seems like he's really favoring that 416C.
Some other things helping out G2 in that last round as well. It's particularly, Uno Meister being able to go onto the Jackal, giving them a lot of capability to hunt down potential targets in their part of the map through the footstep tracker.
It didn't even really seem like he got too much pressure from that. It really seemed like they used that to see if anyone was upstairs early on. They didn't track them. All they did was go, okay, so footsteps going up to archive stairs. Yes? Okay, awesome. We know that they're upstairs. They're upstairs inside of administration or what have you. Made a quick take because of that. Just overall fantastic utility usage here from G2, and I think it's really catching Reciprocity by surprise.
Once again, Uno going to be trying to do the same exact thing from the inside of the window, tracking down some of the positions of these players. Not just him, though. Fabian going up to the roof. He's going to look down through the skylight in just a second to see if any targets can be caught near yellow. And in the meantime, coffee room has been cleared out, or clear enough at least for Uno to be confident in his push. They'll move in. I believe they'll get the scan onto Laxing. He's safe in the basement, though, with really no pressure nearby, so he shouldn't have to worry too much about that scan right now. But the info, regardless, has been given away.
Get a better scan on the Mozzie. Nitro Cell usage, and it seemed like Uno was ready for that. More than likely heard it land on the bottom of that floor. But since there was no holes, those audio cues are very, very difficult to hear. Overall, G2 pretty dominant on the offensive side, putting the utility to good use and clearing out the map very quickly. We are only a minute in right now, and they have all T3 control of Consulate. So this is where Uno is going to get even more important. If you're able to use that Jackal scanner, scan a couple of footprints, make things a little bit harder once you go for Executor. You can get a pick earlier on. Fantastic utility.
That's one thing I think you always really get with G2 is, first of all, really good drone work, so great intel on their attacks, and a very measured attack at that, relying a lot on that. G2 is a very formulated team in that regard, so Reciprocity has to be very careful. We've already seen 2 examples where G2 just kind of dives in and executes after they've gotten all the intelligence, so Rec has to do a better job at either denying this or being ready for the push when it finally comes their way.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to give it to G2. They are the greatest LAN team of all time. That's no argument. You cannot argue that. They have won the most majors. They've won the most LANs. Pengu's one of the most winningest players of all time. Overall, this roster is truly insane. And they're just proving it once again that, hey, we might be the invite team, but we're not here to partake. We're here to take over.
So Garage Wall open a bit later this time. Regardless, we'll start to see the pressure being applied in a second. This time, though, Reciprocity, as you might have guessed, has a much better presence into the back halls there, including just barricades and whatnot to block the way a little bit more. It's not necessarily going to stand in G2's way, but it slows them down, and that's what Rec need right now. 30 seconds left in the round. It's going to come down to the wire here as G2 is finally starting to apply pressure through their garage breach. Smoke gas grenades are also being tossed out to delay them further. But regardless, we've got Sir Boss on the inside going for the plant. That Smoke a little bit close, but he's going to stick it anyway, and he's just barely able to force the issue. A 2-for-1 exchange in the favor of Reciprocity follows that up as they take the man advantage, but now must retake.
This is going to be very difficult. Fabian's already read into it, but Foxe with a nice rip into Anti. Quick shots coming out from the garage, though, as Reciprocity is making quick work of this retake, but all of a sudden it's all down to Pengu in a 1 versus 3. Postplant has plenty of vision on the garage door. He's just got to play safe outside. He sees the jiggle peek. Oh, he recognizes out 1, but he's already on the defuse. Retro's sticking it as well. If he doesn't rotate down fast enough, that's going to be it, and it will, as Reciprocity with a smart stick find their first round.
Angle there, as you can see on the center wall still being left open, does not give the last player on G2 what is needed in order to stop that diffuse. So Reciprocity being much more ready for the assault this time from G2. Pull off the retake and finally get their first round on the board.
Very important to get that first one out of the way. I feel like that's the one that is just the nerve breaker. Once you get there, you know, you just pop the icebreaker, you get the nice minty breath. It's all good. Everything is fine. You know, everything is good. Reciprocity, though, on that retake, it was very scary for just a second because G2 burnt a lot of their utility on that initial attack. They had enough time to be able to fake out a few smokes, got rid of most of the Goyo shields, and the main thing is that the Goyo shield that they had in between White Van and the Black Car really didn't work out for them. They popped it, but it didn't reach the man planting the diffuser. So, in that case, a little bit of a poor use of utility, but I think that the main thing for Reciprocity is that they're not trying to take gunfights. They're trying to lean more on their utility game to try and stop them from planting, and it's not working out. This is something that we saw with Reciprocity when they played at Japan Blue, was where they played a much more structured style of Siege as opposed to what they usually play, which is just wild and free. They like to be flexible, they like to throw in a lot of operators and try and shift things up so that the opponent doesn't know what they're doing. It seems that they're leaning back on that more structured style of Siege.
We'll have to see if that's going to lead to successes for them. Another new site being added to the repertoire here for Reciprocity. They're going to go for a lobby defense this time. Once again, bypassing what we normally see from a lot of players by going upstairs next here. So we'll leave that as a final trick if they need to go towards it here. Okay, it's looking like Retro.
Ooh.
Bold is spotted by G2, gets a tiny little sliver of damage off on a Kanto, but doesn't want to take the risk on a more prolonged engagement there, and with good reason too. So he'll back out happy with that 1 or 2 shots that he got off on a Kanto.
Yeah, nipped him right in his shoulder, but not too much damage, as you were saying. G2 has some pretty good clears so far through Consulate. On to round number 4. It's been pretty impressive how G2 shifted up their lineups as well on this offensive front. We haven't seen a Dokkaebi just yet, so Dokkaebi will be coming into play for Uno, Logic Bombs, and all the rest. If you guys haven't been watching Siege for a while, she recently got frag grenades as well, and she's a counter to Echo now. We will unfortunately won't have him in play, but her phone calls do affect him as well. So her execute potential has went up so much since the last time you guys saw her.
Deploying heartbeat sensor.
Pre-place C4 going to go down. The Pulse realizing, of course, Nyx that is realizing that it is thrown a bit too prematurely. It is going to just leave it on the ceiling for now, so will act as a bit of passive resistance to that player from G2 sitting on the windowsill.
Pengu's works his way into Z, this specifically being benches, as it's been a pretty slow going take so far for G2. Not too much drone information. We can see most of the drones are out. Only 1 has died, so they still have access to 9. plenty of time to drone as well to get a little bit more info, but it seems that Reciprocity has them stumped for the time being. Fabian's going to quickly swing into Anti, but gets fragged out and trades ensue. G2 coming out on top, but Foxay with a quick peek outside. But no, it's going to be Pengu to capitalize more on this situation downstairs as he takes down Lax. G2 coming out on the top side is actually very impressive. Diffuser going down inside a piano. They need to capitalize on this. Do they know that Foxay's still upstairs though? He could drop the hatch, and that's what Kanto's worried about. He nitro sells the floor to try and get some vertical play. It's all down to Pengu and Sir Boss. But where is Pengu? It doesn't even require him. He's on yellow soda. It's all left up to Fox upstairs as he's trying to find some sort of vision, but he's going to hear somebody hop outside. It's going to be Pengu, who also has a goo mine inside of his leg. All left up to Fox now though. Once again, inside of piano. Rotates down yellow. Needs to take this gunfight, but Pengu's just playing it so intelligently. Runs all the way downstairs with the bait, hops quickly up onto pipes as to adjust his head height. Hits a nice shot, and it's going to be G2's round.
Pengu once again just trying to play that as safe as possible, as you had mentioned, taking even the slightest chance that he loses that duel, giving his other teammate enough time to rotate, or rather leaving as little time as possible for his other opponent to rotate back to the site and try to pull off the counter defuse. So good play right there from G2, once again shutting it down. Very solid execute upstairs too to fully steal the control away from players like Foxay, who are trying to hold the upstairs projector room with Mute in the arsenal right there. So great stuff from there on G2 once again for taking control. Now a 3-1 lead goes their way, and we have the first timeout coming in from Reciprocity. Very much needed in my opinion, as the plan is not working, to say the least.
Yeah, and the thing is that Reciprocity's top hold actually held. The issue was that they flooded site and they did not have enough bodies to trade out the kills, especially with Pengu doing what he did with that double kill. That just opened up the entire site. People had to try and rotate back in to grab land, and it just did not work out for them. You have to go back into these gunfights. They already have the established angle, and on land, the established angle, 9 times out of 10, wins.
Which is the case that we're not often seeing right now here for Rec a lot of the times too, despite them being set up and seemingly ready for these executes. Good intel and good play in general here from G2 has allowed them so many, some even untraded entries that they've gotten, especially in those first 2 rounds that they won uncontested. Now, it has been cleaned up quite a bit from Reciprocity, but the 1-to-1 exchange is not going to be in their favor. Best case, that's going to leave us on, say, something like a 4-2 going into halftime, which is probably not what they want to have coming off their defensive half here.
And I know that someone is probably pretty surprised that Sir Boss is actually at the top of the leaderboard for G2, especially since we saw 2 separate players have 6 and 7 kills. So you guys can see Pengu's currently 7-0. We have Kanto going 6-2-2. Fantastic play from G2 so far, but Sir Boss is topping the charts, and there's a main reason for that. He's planted all of their diffusers. That's his position, but that's just how much objective play means inside of Rainbow Six Siege. He's over 2 people who combined have 13 kills, and he's only planted it 3 times, and he has 1 kill and 2 deaths.
Yeah. A lot of credit for that there.
Or excuse me, he's 1-2-1. 1 kill, 2 assists, 1 death.
Still getting a lot of credit there for his utility usage. We've got this attempt at a spawn kill once again from Nyx, but not going to get much from it this time, as it doesn't look like anyone will spawn that way in G2, or at the very minimum will run that way to contest that angle. Fabian would have been the closest player, but even he seemed kind of ready for it, so not much to be gained this time from Nyx. Biggest switch up in the operators coming from Reciprocity there as we see the clash being brought in from Foxay. So we'll see how this is going to be used. Well, you can already see that, as it's going to be placed in yellow stairs to act as a stalemate and try to waste as much time as possible should G2 choose that as their primary angle. That's not necessarily guaranteed, though. You've got a lot of players from G2 already checking out the admin route, with 1 going on Repel and 2 more staying in the area. Kanto also looking for options to try and get upstairs here, too.
Solo roam. Knocking up the hatch inside of admin to look for the rotate in Visa. They should definitely be worried about that, as Laxlane is off-site with Legion. Man, that gets 8 of those goo mines. He's good for setting up some off-site utility, just to be a nuisance most of the time. But the main thing, as you highlighted, is that clash pickup by Fox. It doesn't seem like he had any ADSs on yellow stairs, but we are going to have some track stingers going down.
This is the only issue with the clash, though, is it's going to be heavily restricted this round if those aren't dealt with. That's why Foxay switches off, tries to deal with as many of those track stingers as he can. Doesn't sound like he got the leading one, so still another 3 to 4 are going to be thrown out by the long desk, restricting his path. There should also still be 1 more in Unomeister's inventory to try and block the pathing. Again, no, excuse me, all 3 have been used, so no more to block out Foxay.
And here's the main issue as well, is that Laxing is going for a late flank here, and G2 is so good at this flank watch. He might just be able to rotate up into yellow and get back into sight, but that doesn't seem to be the plan. Pre-fire open benches just in case somebody tries to get on yellow, but it's actually been a quick play by Pengu to take down Fox, and that's a big pick. They've planted now inside a projector, and it's going to be all hands on deck for Reciprocity. Laxing does come up yellow. Doesn't seem like that late roam had too much effect. Vert's going to take just a touch of damage. A quick peek from the dock of Nyx, but it's going to be Pengu on a triple, showing everybody exactly why he is the best player in the world. That's going to be a quad kill. The man's consistency knows no bounds, and Uno to clean up the last kill. G2 on an absolute heater.
And I mean, those track stingers really just kind of reading out Reciprocity, it seemed like, doing too much work to restrict, notably their clash. And as you can see at the end there, even the Jaeger, who had a chance to potentially be in a good position, but was restricted too much by both the track stingers and the late rotate upstairs at the end of the round when there was not much hope of winning regardless, mainly due to the efforts of Pengu.
In case you forgot just how damn good this man is at this game, he hasn't died yet. And I'm 99.9% positive that he's double digits. Yep, he's 11-0.
Oh my god, he really ran away with that.
Yeah, and the main thing is if you guys have noticed, Pengu's been aggressive at some instances, but only when he can capitalize on the situation. This is the info game of G2 working out and Pengu just leading the pack. Even when they go into post plant, he gets on angles. He was playing connector window on Rappel for 2 of his last kills. He's doing all of the jobs. He's doing everything. He's playing entry. He's playing support. He's playing flex. He's playing the rotation holder. He's playing everything. He's playing flank watch. And that is the beauty of someone like Pengu. When you know how to do all the jobs, you're just a dominant player.
And so far, dominant has been almost an understatement when it comes to his case here, based on the stats so far in the game. Once again, the split site is going to be picked up by Reciprocity here. Biggest issue for them that they faced on the previous round there was unfortunately being iced out of the upstairs site and just having no room really to retake it after G2 took control. Some of those castle barricades came back to bite them, so we'll see if any positioning will be different or different utility maybe being brought to the table, potentially allow them to move back in should they need to.
This is going to be the exact same lineup that Reciprocity used on the first round when they lost to G2. G2 having a pretty good take on Tellers. Able to get all of the pressure out from upstairs, especially with Nyx. Nyx was the first one to die on that. And they really had free reign to do whatever they wanted. Got a plant down, was able to isolate out all the angles that they needed to hold for those rotations to come through from the defense. Overall, a very impressive round. We'll see if Lightning can possibly strike twice.
So first drone going to work its way through Consulate and try to see if they can find out where the upstairs players are positioned at. So big part in clear that. Oh, unfortunately, it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world, as you can see in the case of Sir Boss here. Ooh, man,
that was risky.
Dodge past that pest there, taking a risk. I think we did actually see the drone potentially get stolen, or maybe another drone stolen a moment later. It doesn't matter though, because the Mozzie is dead. So the worst thing that's going to happen is that drone will just sit there the rest of the round now and maybe get shot by G2 in a couple minutes. Either way, though, first kill once again going into G2's favor. And at this point, the largest majority of upstairs control with it. Nyx is still here, but even he seems hesitant to remain upstairs and is eventually, as you just saw, going to fall back down.
No, he's been called off. They need all the guns that they can possibly have in order to handle this situation, especially with Laxing being dead as he tried to rotate up yellow. That's the issue with these defensive rounds for Reciprocity, is that there's a lot of solo rotations going on and no one to refrag. G2 is just playing cool, calm, and collected, slowly working the map, and it's worked out for them so far. Vertical now in a 1v1 with Fabian as he's working security hallway, more than likely going to establish a few holes through the wall of the security office. And that's exactly what he's going to do as he punches one in towards kitchen, just waiting for that peek. Overall though, attack again pretty slow for G2, but it was the last time as well. Want to make sure to cross their T's and dot their I's.
Should be no surprise the drone economy is still looking very healthy for G2 at this point as well, with only 2 seemingly being knocked out, so plenty more to try and utilize, and we can see some of those rolling around actually, as it does appear they're going to try and take upstairs site control in almost the same exact fashion that we saw the first round go up. Time is going to start to get low, so we need to see this execute come within the next 30 seconds or so, otherwise G2 find themselves pressed for time. It's Nyx contained on the inside of one of the sites. Is proving to be too much trouble right now for G2 to get rid of it, so they're trying to flash him out, and they do remove him from the site itself. That's still not safe. They're going to have to hunt him down here.
Oh, this is going to be very dangerous. Fabian, though, played it very intelligently, but he wasn't ready for Nyx to be inside of this safe space that they've made inside of the hallway with that castle barricade and reinforcement. So Nyx actually doing a very good job of holding things down. Oh my, what just happened right there? That was Nyx with a crazy shot onto Uno. Vert gets one for himself as well, as it seems like they've finally been able to shut down G2. Only 14 seconds remain, plenty of nitro cells downstairs, and specifically Foxy with that cardiac sensor, but it's going to be Vert yet again as Sir Boss crosses the door frame and quickly gets obliterated. It's all down to Kanto in a 1 versus 4. Not very much time left, and it's going to be the last kill for Fox as Reciprocity finally finds their second round.
I'll give huge credit to Nyx there for the hold and being able to turn that around in the 4v5 situation. Holds that connector hallway with beautiful precision and prevents G2 from getting the control that would have given them the site if it went uncontested. He bought the time for players like Foxy and I think potentially 1 or 2 more players to rotate back up and provide additional support there to cut out the rest of the team.
G2 had a great top clear, and Laxing tried to prevent that. That's how that first death started. They didn't know that Uno was inside of CEO, so him being there stunted that. But a very smart rotate from Nyx, right, seeing that he could just get out of the situation. He can go downstairs, he can try and assist his teammates, and that's exactly what they wanted him to do. That was the call. Have him go back to Tellers. And then the nice thing about that setup that they have is that they have that safety area inside of Teller's hallway to where you can rotate out when the pressure gets too high. Having that drone in there and having everyone trying to peek you from the Teller's area, or the Visa area, excuse me, is not what you want to happen. So having that safety area over there is exactly what won them that round.
A round that they very much desperately needed to get for themselves here. They still only end up, however, at that 2-4 scoreline that we had talked about before and kind of expected them to end up at with the way that rounds were being traded. So now we need to see a much greater effort from them on the attack to bring this game back. Otherwise, we could still be looking at G2 getting control and starting to run away with this game. 3 rounds, that's all they need. 1 full site rotation, and they'll have control of map number 1 of the series.
Fun fact, it's the first time Pengu died.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. Big sad there.
Big sad.
11 kills.
Bible thumps in chat.
Finally cut down his prime, you know?
I don't think his prime's even nearly over. It's actually impressive how long this man has been this dominant.
So we'll see if he's going to be able to bounce right into it. I'm sure he won't have problems with that, especially now with him being on the defense. A little bit more comfortable room to play with, not having to watch your every step. Defenders in general able to get a lot from that. Bit of spam coming in, and some of it actually not catching Fabian at first, but the second volley of shots from Nyx does knock off about half a bar from Fabian.
Bench's window being worked from Reciprocity. Overall, it seems like this is going to be a mid-floor clear as more drones pour in. Been able to find Fabian just yet. But overall, it's been slow goings here for Reciprocity, as it was really the same on defense. Again, more methodical play from them than we're accustomed to seeing with this banner. G2 just doing as they do, especially on this defense on Consulate, just waiting for the first move to come from Reciprocity. As long as Reciprocity is wasting time, G2 could really care less, unless obviously it's practically a free kill. Then they'll capitalize on that situation. But for right now, just stay cool, calm, and collected, and wait to see what goes on.
In a second here, we are going to see the Zofia probably pop open the wall, checking in to see if maybe by chance they'll catch an out-of-position G2 player. And it seems like they have an idea that Kanto is on the inside. Just don't think, first of all, they can't get the angle from upstairs in Skylight. You can see Reciprocity has an additional player on Repel, that being Retro. Gotta be careful with these peaks, though. Kanto is very much ready for the peak from our fencing player here, Retro. So to be very careful about how he proceeds. However, Kanto seems to be on the losing end of this. Retro just barely giving away his own head, and Kanto finally getting picked by Foxy on an alternate window.
Yeah, moved a little bit too far and was able to be seen from the soft destruction that's inside of the yellow staircase. Overall, pretty good play from Reciprocity, but now they have the clock to beat, and G2 still has a lot of utility to go through, especially with being able to deny utility across practically the entire site. But another big pick comes out for Vert. That'll be Sir Boss. No more usage for those Evil Eyes. You can only see through them. You cannot use them to laser beam anybody. But having Pengu and Fabian still alive is very, very important. Those goo mines, as well as those toxic babes of the smoke, can deny it so much time. Oh, a nice shot from Pengu. Just a little bit of damage, though. We are going for the actual take now. Vert with the triple kill. 2 nice headshots. That's exactly what you expect from him, but Reciprocity has every single angle going down to the wire, but they got the areas that they needed. Yellow as well as bathroom control to hold long desk. through the soft destruction as well into projector. So overall, a great take from Reciprocity, but very methodical, as we were talking about before.
Not overcomplicated, though, ultimately. Like a very simple strategy from them at the end of the day. Let's just, bully the player on the inside of console office, take him out. Through that, we'll be able to get easy bathroom control. And then from that point, we've pretty much got every angle we need to hold so we can swing the rest of the players in through yellow and take the site.
And G2's yellow hold isn't really a yellow hold. It's a bathroom hold. They put Sir Boss on top of the toilet and have him hold the staircase just because it's kind of an awkward angle when you go to swing on yellow. You really don't know where he's going to be playing, close, far, what have you. With that one, you're able to see a lot more of the landing as well. But that's the thing that really stumped Reciprocity just for a second. He goes, okay, yellow's technically clear, but Sir Boss can see into Consulate from bathroom, so we have to handle that situation as well. And having that room, you're able to cut off a lot of rotation, especially with that long desk, as well as the connector being right there, with that soft destruction being open for the wall. So overall, a great take from Reciprocity, just grabbing the rooms that they needed at a very minimum, and it worked out for them.
G2, though, I think can patch that up the next time they move around that site, but that's in the future, as they have changed up and decided not to reattempt that's upstairs site for a second time in a row, instead now moving into the garage for their first attempt on the defensive half, anyway, to take control of this one.
Really, the only adjustment that G2 would need there is just have somebody play underneath.
Yeah, just have more presence near yellow and near like piano.
Yeah, they really didn't do anything about the Evil Eye's vision either, so that would be one thing that would be slightly terrifying if you are the man planting the diffuser is going, okay, they have vision on me. So if there is somebody downstairs, this could be very, very dangerous. But hey, we already have the map pressure, we have everybody set up, I have to go for this diffuser plan.
Yep. Once again, similarly to how G2 does their attacks, Reciprocity is getting a great amount of intel and being sure that their strategy will work. They jump on it. A little bit close for time as well. That's another area where G2 could potentially abuse that strategy if we go back to that site in the future.
And this may be the surprising factor for Reciprocity, is that they're playing a little bit more structured. But I think that everyone has gotten used to how Reciprocity, played at Japan with that more structured mentality. Offense, though, moving very quickly. Already have bathroom control and that mid-level. It seems to be a turtle for G2. Don't see anybody leaking out the sides of the barrel just yet. Able to notate a roamer here in just a second. And actually, we're going to have two people upstairs, more than likely Uno and Kanto on roam.
Now, what's interesting right now is despite being able to successfully buck open, they haven't really had enough free room to peek on that garage wall and find the electric claw, which has been placed down by Fabian, which is preventing them from opening the garage right now. Like we said before, active denial on the garage wall isn't something that you see as much anymore, but right now it's being done really well by G2 and kind of hiding that electric claw that for some reason our attackers here, most notably the ones that have opened up the soft destruction like Vertical and Foxe, have not been able to lock it down just yet, although it seems like that's finally changed. Oh no.
Well, it looks like you and I have the curse. That's us. It is us. We found it.
I always hate guns with infinite magazines, you know? You just find a portal to another dimension inside of your mag. So,
the unlimited backpack is always a fantastic tool.
We're going to work on that as quickly as possible, folks. Just hang with us here. Hopefully it won't be too much of a delay with regards to the status of that round. We'll stand by on that one and wait for confirmation on what exactly is going to do as, well, we aren't the admins, so we don't have that information.
Overall, though, a lot closer than I assumed it was going to be once G2 was being very dominant on the offensive side of Consulate. Consulate's gotten to be a map where defenses have just gotten more and more aggressive as time has went on, especially inside of LATAM, where it's just, hey, let's play how to get in the building simulator. That's really what it is. Everyone's on every single window. You can't take a safe peek. There really is no time to drone. You have to hide behind palm trees. It's not a good time. But with these two going head-to-head, it seems to be a lot more on, okay, whose strategy falls through rather than, okay, who's going to make the big play.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty accurate. It's been a good start here overall, talking about this half specifically from Reciprocity. The biggest key things I didn't get to expand upon too much was how close they were on time. If G2 was a little bit more hesitant in their ability to take duels, there's a chance they might have whittled down the time a little bit more to a point where Reciprocity might have been rushed, players peeking out in areas that normally wouldn't lead to a one fight and things like that. So that's another area where I think G2 can improve it. And that might even be the case right here with just this site. Obviously, we didn't get to see the full round play out, but it seems like overall G2 G2 are doing a pretty good job at trying to delay things for as long as possible, and ultimately we're succeeding in that, especially when it came to things like the garage wall. You know, having you have the Thermite open up one of the hatches with his utility, no longer can you get both of those garage panels open anymore, so we're just going to work with one of those, as we ended up seeing Reciprocity being put into. So now the question is going to be, when more than likely this round gets replayed, how exactly that's going to be approached, and if we'll even go to the same site.
Yeah, we'll get that call in just a second, but as you said, I think overall, both of these teams actually square up quite nicely against each other, and that might be that surprising factor that Reciprocity was talking about. But I think the thing that I want to highlight with Reciprocity is that Laxing's been decently shut down throughout this entire game so far. Only having one frag, working at Olive Garden with that breadstick. You know how it goes, but he usually plays, you know, a much more intricate role with their team, where if Laxing just grabs the reins, he can run away with things and just continue to win rounds for his team. G2's done a very good job at shutting that down. He's been caught on rotate quite a few times, especially on yellow. I think that was the one that was the most highlighted out of all of those, was when he was trying to come up yellow to stop that top take from G2, and Uno nipped it in the bud very, very quickly.
Yeah, instead you've got some of the newer players, I think, stepping up right now for Rec and saving them in quite a few of these rounds, the most notable one being the second split site, where Nyx was able to hold on the castle in the connector directly outside of sight between his position and Spiral, and stop players. I think it was like Fabian that tried to push him there, and then eventually bought time for, I believe, Foxay to regroup with him and a few others as well. So you're looking at some of the new guys from Rec having to jump in. And ultimately, though, it still hasn't been the best game. They're still behind by one round here, but that could change with the upcoming round, and if the eventual attack on the basement was to be a success.
Yeah, and as you said, new people stepping forward, vertical, especially on that last round that we saw fully played out. He got the 2 kills repelling from the CEO window. Extremely impactful because it allowed them to get the diffuser down. So, again, these new players stepping up. Reciprocity actually looking damn good for how young this team is.
Yeah, definitely looking solid right now. And once again, just to reiterate this, like all the NA teams that I was able to either talk to, whether it was over the past few days or just kind of seeing how everybody was vibing over the last day.
It's all about the vibes, man.
The vibe check.
Yeah, you know, we're not even on Coastline, but it's always about the vibes.
Pretty much all the NA teams seem like they're feeling pretty confident about their position. Yeah, the vibes are good. Even relaxed. I would.
Yeah,
you know,
it's the Balenciagas. That's what it is. It's just you put those
they're
on.
too comfortable.
They're too comfy. How can you be mad when you're wearing Balenciagas?
That's true.
I don't know. Like they look like socks. I guess it feels like you're at home, maybe.
Yeah, they're comfy. I've worn them. I've tried them on.
I'm reaching. Have you tried them on?
Yeah, I've tried them on. I went to the store and tried them on.
Is it
I did not buy them yet, though.
Yet. You said yet.
That's the key word.
I don't like that. You said, they'll probably see them on Twitter. You see what you're wearing, right?
All good things in time.
All good things in time.
Gotta prioritize the show wear first.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Got the loafers. But yeah. So overall, though, I think really promising expectations from all these North American teams, and that extends, to TSM and SSG as well. So, so far, both of those have been well-founded with the way that they took care of those first 2 games. So.
I know we were joking earlier, but if Dark Zero goes well as well, I mean, NA Massive, man, they're coming.
I was gonna say that earlier as well.
I don't know, NA Massive.
UK, get out of here! It's our time now. So we'll see how well that goes for the 2 remaining North American teams, one of which obviously you guys have playing in front of you right now. If you are just joining us, we do apologize for not being in game at this point. We did have a server interruption, and we are working on fixing that at this very moment. So we're going to get back into that game as soon as time allows us to.
So what do you think of the spectation system so far?
I think it's great. I've already talked about this already, and I had a tweet about it about an hour or 2 ago as well. But there's so many topics which on the old UI were left basically up to a guess.
Yeah.
And that's things like the drone economy.
An educated guess,
like the utility. But unless we either caught it off the corner of our eye in the spectator camera, or we actually saw it happen, or we just guessed through intuition, we wouldn't really be able to confidently know these things before. Now there's so much more information available to us, the casters, and you guys, the viewers. I think it's going to help even things like coaches and whatnot too, is you have to remember that's important information for them to glean if they're rewatching VODs and trying to gather notes for their team and strategies for how to counter strat. A lot of that's important too, and seeing like, okay, they don't use their flash grenades half the time and try to clear ADSs, so we can abuse that on this position. That's a good example of that.
It's amazing. I mean, even doing VOD review before this for the matches, watching through those and then now casting, it's a whole new world. It makes things so easy. There's always something to talk about. You're not looking for some crazy topic to try and fill time while you're trying to wait for something to happen. It's just amazing what Ubisoft has done with this game. So overall, I would say it's definitely a positive. Definitely a positive, being able to see everyone's utility as well as their life bar. And as you said, I think the best factor to go into this is those drones. and being able to see that drone economy.
Absolutely. Well, we are back into the game, folks, and in case you haven't been able to tell for yourself, round has been reset. So we're back to a 4-3 score, and we are playing into the same site once more. In terms of an overall strategy, it is looking like things have remained pretty much the same there for G2 as well. Still, most importantly, bringing the Kaid, so they are going to go for that active denial once again. Reciprocity knows about it now, so it's a little bit unfortunate for G2 here, as Rec should hopefully know how to handle this a lot quicker this time.
Yeah, and just to remind you guys,
10 seconds to insertion.
Pengu has not died too often inside of this game just yet. He's actually got the most kills on the team. Obviously, that's not going to be showing because we did reset the rounds. So Pengu is going to be set back to 0. But that doesn't mean that he lost his kills. Don't worry. After the game, everything will be added together. You guys will be able to see the max scoreboard as well as us. So just remember that we are on round 8 now. Just all the statistics are reset.
Got you covered, folks.
We got
Friends
you.
in the stats department will make sure everything's all patched up nicely for the postgame.
Thank you, Siege GG. We appreciate you.
All right, so into the round once more. Reciprocity opting for first 4 controls, you might expect, but look at this. Uno trying to throw it off a little bit here by adding a bit of twist into it. Kanto, in the meanwhile, on the Jaeger, back over here by Visa office, runs out the back doorway and is able to swing around for a pick onto a very important player for late round as well. Nyx, the Capitao, both those micro smokes and the micro incendiaries being removed before they can be used. That's a massive steal from Kanto.
And G2 making things burn just a little bit hotter now. Still good drone game here from Reciprocity, and pretty decent roam game from G2. Wasting a lot of time, especially with that early pick. Cancel might be going for run out again, but no, he's just going to seal Visa door instead. Doesn't have to deal with the headache.
Even if it was accidental, you do have to kind of give props to Uno for an almost support onto the kill, because the jump out from him more than likely threw Rec off and kind of made them think that a run out was going to come from there again, when in reality he was coming from Visa. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, but either way, good misdirection.
Aha, you fool.
Yeah.
You have activated my trap card. That's really what it was, though.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it seemed like it was intentional, so.
I present to you Magic Cylinder. There you go. Well, X-Gyros going down, or excuse me, Exothermic Charge going down. That's actually going to get the hatch, folks, as you guys will see right now. So, very smart utility usage here from Reciprocity, but continue to get punished on that roam.
Just a little bit too much clearing being done here in the early round from Reciprocity is going to allow them a lot of control. Twitchstorm going to move in. A little bit awkward in trying to get that kill. Yeah, got to play around the angle a bit because of the fact you can only shoot it in the open door. Try to shoot anywhere else, it'll just keep the door open for longer. So, job is done. Nice little angle there from Laxing to take care of that Evil Eye, prevent it from doing damage later on. Oh, and they finally find the Electric Claw as well. 37 seconds left. And unfortunately, they've lost Retro, so they're not going to get the wall open. That was more to clear out the barbed wire that was sitting in the back there, too, and de-electrify that. But Rex seems kind of stuck now. Progress being made, yeah, but not nearly enough here. With 20 seconds remaining, last player, one of the last players going to try to jump in. Foxay does find the trade onto Fabian, but it's of little consequence at this point in the round. Another gas grenade going to block his path down yellow. He can try to leap over the top, but that'll essentially be suicide. And there's not much choice, so he does eventually peek directly into the sights for Pengu, giving the round over to G2 as they take control of number 8.
Reciprocity did a very good job of taking over the map. The only issue is that when they got a room, G2 took a body, and they traded that back and forth every single time. Okay, we'll give you map pressure as long as we get to kill one of your people. And they just kept clicking accept. That's really what it was. This trade did not go the way that Reciprocity had it mapped out. And because of that, G2 takes the round. Overall, again, very good take from Reciprocity. They just were not set up for those trades, and G2 kept getting to just take one person at a time.
Another 6 pick going to work its way out. Both teams utilizing this. Retro going from going from a Thermite over to a Twitch, and then we see the Jaeger to Pulse transition, so trying to hide some pivotal operators. One on the attacking side looking to deal with extra utility here, especially in that front lobby area, and another one looking to try and surprise with the extra intel that'll come from the Pulse in the basement or upstairs.
So far, man, this has been such an interesting game, just seeing Reciprocity play into this G2 fold, especially with Sir Boss in there now. It seems that G2 is back to form. I'm going to be honest. This seems like how they were poised to win Raleigh, and then Empire just swept them under a rug. That's really what it is. Uno seeming more confident. Sir Boss playing his usual roles like he played with Penta, just support roles in relatively the same areas as well. So it's working out for them overall. I definitely think that this move to Sir Boss is a good move.
Yeah, it's been shaping up pretty well so far. Once again, see how the rest of that shapes up in more maps as well here. Like I said, Consulate seemed like a pick that was going to be confident for both teams here, although it's definitely favored G2 much more heavily with the way that things have played out so far. As well, the scoreboard would obviously imply at 5-3. 2 more rounds is all G2 need to take control of map number 1 of this series and get them one more step closer to that main stage at SI coming up in a little over a week from now.
Well, Reciprocity showing their true colors just a little bit more here. No hard destruction, going with mostly all fragging operators. IQ, Sledge, and Twitch, as well as Ophia all in play. Nyx, the more utility-based operator that kind of wants to stay alive with those crossbow bolts. He has fire bolts and smoke bolts, folks, and they're not affected by the enemy ADSs of Jaeger, but we don't even have a Jaeger in play, so don't even have to worry about those for your throwables.
We know he's going to get spotted out by a drone in the back of Archives, so they'll be aware of that position, and most importantly, the operator, as that was left up to a 6 pick before. Nyx is going to use the first micro-incendiary. It is actually going to catch Kanto, too. He tries to stim himself back up while he's obscured by the soft wall, but it does not work out. Nyx, the hunter, finds out Kanto and gets the first kill of the round.
Amazing utility usage there as well to get him to move, and rough for Kanto, who's sitting right on the edge of the flames when he got down. So that stim pistol not helping him out too much, as it was a mixture of the bullets to the wall as well as the fuel on the ground that burned his hopes and dreams away. So only 1 fatality so far through round 9, but still plenty of round to be played, as it seems that Reciprocity is worried about someone being downstairs, and they have a right to be. It's Uno inside of stock. Vertical on the other end of the map as you hear the M762 rip through Fabian. Laxing capitalizes on the Uno situation, though, and all of a sudden G2 is on their heels.
Reciprocity looking much more controlled, much more regulated here in the way that they're attacking. Their first overstep is finally caught, though, as Pengu grabs the kill on Vertical. It's not long before that is traded right back into the hands of Rek, though. Sir Boss, now the only hope for the team in this round, and 45 seconds left. He's right in the middle of these 2 sites. Gonna have to try and hold it. That nade nearly rolling right into his kill box. The second one doing just the same. Regardless, though, he is able to find Retro. He's going to take a bit of a risk here and going into cams for a moment. Interrupts the first one, saves it as well, but is not actually able, to interrupt the actual plant. It goes down. And now Sir Boss is left alone in the 1v3, and he has to be the aggressor. This is where it might be too much for him to handle, and indeed it's Shao Foxe gets the final frag on the round, and Rek, one more to try and bring this back under their control.
Great take by Reciprocity, and it seemed to be the exact opposite of what happened the last round. G2 wasn't able to get their early picks or play for trades. It was just a lot of good use from Reciprocity on the information game to capitalize on those solo situations, especially with Uno being upstairs, or excuse me, Kanto being upstairs inside of the bathroom. That was such a fantastic play by Nyx and gave them that top control that they needed. Once you get rid of bathroom, it makes for a little safe haven that you can deal with yellow and everything else just from that one room. You really only have to worry about connector, and if they have the wall open, then obviously you're going to have to worry about the console office. But overall, the bathroom is a lot of the times the area where you can get that start because they'll just have that solo player inside of there.
Another timeout going to be called here from Reciprocity to try and see how exactly they'll want to approach this next upstairs attack. This will be the, I believe, 2nd time it's been tried now so far, and actually it gets switched here at the last second. And we did have a bit of an error there on the graphics. It's actually G2's timeout, not Reciprocity. So G2 actually trying to regroup a little bit here after 2 losses so far on this half. And once again, being just 1 round from a tie at 5-5. Lobby is going to be the reattempted site after initially picking up stairs. So a bit of a switch up there happening during the pause from G2.
Yeah, and overall, I do just want to go back and talk about the Sir Boss pickup for just a second, because if you guys didn't know, if you guys don't follow Siege too closely, or you are a new viewer, Sir Boss has actually only been on the team for 11 days. 11 days is when the official note went out, and before that, they said they had only scrimmed with him 3 times. So to have G2 at this level of effectiveness, with Sir Boss only having that much experience with this roster, it's pretty impressive. And obviously he's not lighting the scoreboard on fire, but you don't need to inside of these instances. Your job is to get the information. Your job is to help the team on the fronts in which you're supposed to be at, with utility usage and info game. And Sir Boss is doing a bang-up job.
So prep phase is going to be ending here in just a moment, and we've got Reciprocity coming out onto the board once again. Being unleashed onto the field here. We'll see what exactly they'll bring to the table this time for this secondary lobby attack. So their first attack working, there shouldn't be much reason to change up the overall game plan from them. Definitely some things that can be patched up though, most notably trying to keep Nyx in the fray for a little bit longer here. Watching for those early aggression plays from G2. So, slow to start again. Nothing crazy going to be happening here from Reciprocity as they prioritize droning over everything else for these first probably minute or so, including the Twitch drone going to be chucked up here as they look to clear out second floor first.
Well, they've done a very good job of keeping their drones alive, and that's something that is very hard to do inside of Siege overall. A lot of people actually opt to drive the drone back to their spawn and then use it from where they're going to enter, unless obviously you can get a drone to do a safe place inside the building for those pre-placed drones. Pre-places are very important when you're trying to clear a building quickly, but it is also a big risk because if people go up there to set things up for their roam game or what have you, you'll lose a lot of drones early on, and drone economy is a major thing for the offense. It's one of their main bases for information, especially with this lineup that we're bringing. They're not bringing anybody that automatically gives you info, so we're going to have a trade come out, but it's going to be from 2 separate players. Nyx on the Pengu, Kanto picking up 1 for himself as well. So we're on equal footing for the time being.
Yeah, 2 completely detached fights going on, but a lot of it vying for upstairs control. It's Nyx hunting down. I was able to catch Pengu as he was rotating past Long Desk. Finds him on that balcony position. In a moment here, got Laxing looking to swing himself around too. He's got intel on one player, but he's got the complete wrong position as to where that player was. Fabian hiding in the corner is going to be able to get away with a free kill against Laxing. He doesn't even check that angle. Foxe again though, there in a separate detached fight to trade it back out against Studemeister.
Well, Sledge, a mainstay operator for Reciprocity on Consulate. He's been available through 26 rounds that they played in recent history. He's been picked every single time. So Nyx and the rest of the squad now have that top control that they've been fighting for so long. Only 40 seconds remain. Diffuser is on Retro. That's going to be the F2. That's usually a gun that you want to keep up, so they might hand it off instead, but Retro not setting the world on fire either when it comes to points. Need to try and get this plant down now, but there's still plenty of utility to deny it, specifically Sir Boss on these cameras that they're going to have to worry about. Fabian with some well-placed goo mines as well, which is going to have to rip it out and then go for the plant because it denies access to your F key. But Fabian works his way in with a nice flick. He takes down Nyx. That's a triple on the round. All of a sudden it's up to Foxe as he tries to cross the fire, but it will not be through the fire and flames. It will just be ashes for Reciprocity.
Once again, Reciprocity kind of holding on in the early round with just enough trades to keep the manpower at an even keel, and it seemed like it was going to go that way all the way through the execute. However, that final push from the Legion to the inside coming from Fabian shuts down the remaining players that are trying to get access to those main doors and leaves no chance at all for a Reciprocity victory to come out of that assault. Finally, a win there for G2 on the lobby site, and now they'll shift back downstairs for the potential final round of the opening map of the series.
It's very simple. They did not have enough bodies to be able to hold down Spiral or Grass, which is that bottom area of Spiral where the, you know, fun little ferns and all that stuff is. We like to make the places look nice. You know, we want to put some grass, some stuff down there just so you have, you know, visual pleasure when you're walking through maps. And that's what Grass is on Consulate. It's just visual pleasure. You know what I mean? You're just there, you're happy. But they had no one to watch it. That's the main issue. And with no one being able to watch that area, Z is free real estate, which is exactly where Fabian came from. He rotates through Z, through bench, gets to Grass, is able to walk into Circle Desk for free. And that's how they were punished.
So with that control going over towards G2, once again we sit at the precipice of the end of the match. It's
5 seconds to insertion.
Coming in relatively soon here. Reciprocity bringing a very similar kit as they have in the past. In fact, I think it's the same exact kit once again for them. So no change-ups in that department in the operator lineup anyway. G2, of course, will switch to their site-dependent loadout, as we're going to see Fabian bring back in the Cade, along with a few other factors here for the basement home.
Big pick to start us off is Laxing. Laxing just not having the greatest time right now for Reciprocity. He hasn't been picked very early on throughout these games, actually. He's only been first picked once, and that was all the way back on round 6. So for right now, G2 in the lead. They're on match point. Consulate has been working pretty well for them. Some good info on Decanto, but he's going to get rid of the drone, so that's going to impact that drone economy that we were talking about before. Good play so far, though, for Reciprocity. Even with the loss of Lax, this is still possible. The main issue now, though, is it seems that when they do have that first pick happen not in their favor, they slow things down an awful lot. G2 taking control of the situation, moves some troops upstairs to be able to bind for map pressure. But instead, they've moved Uno downstairs, waiting for that nitro cells. They more than likely have the hatches open for lobby.
About half the round having gone by, very little contention over these last few moments here. Only Laxing having fallen. And G2 with just a measly little one-man advantage to play off of here. Still roaming around quite confidently, though, to try and ice out a few of the members of Reciprocity. And we're going to see just that. Nyx and Fabian trading blows. It's Foxay that's caught from the wreck side, so still a man advantage to G2 ultimately after that trade.
A bomb has been located.
Vertical dropping into E-Box, needs to try and clear out this area. He does have Uno to worry about inside of jail, so this could be very, very troublesome as Uno's going to get all the information in the world that he needs, and this could be a big play right now. He takes down Vertical, that's going to put him to a double, and now Nyx inside of some trouble inside of Kitchen. Flames off security, but doesn't have too much to worry about there. None of the shots land. A quick peek, and G2 takes map 1.
G2, some great utility usage, specifically coming in from the Mozzie on Uno to make sure there was no problems with the back-end push. That last drone that he managed to scoop for himself, giving so much information over to the team. That on top of the overall just amazing play that we had from players like Pengu and Fabian throughout the course of that entire map, seals the deal for G2 as they take a 1-0 lead in this series now. One more away from victory here today and soaring on through the upper bracket, sending Reciprocity down below.
Yeah, Reciprocity having a little bit of trouble on those offenses, and it just seems like those early picks happening have really, really punished them on the offensive side, which is something that we really don't see happen too often. Usually it's the defense that's a little bit more impacted when those early kills come out, especially if you're able to back it up. But I honestly think it has to do with the operators that they were able to pick off, especially in that last round. Getting rid of the IQ to where they can't really have an impact on gadgets and what have you is huge. Actually, those last couple of rounds that they had through that last series, I believe 2 out of the 3 of the first picks that happened towards Reciprocity are the rounds that they lost. So definitely telling you the story of how those offenses went.
Yeah, I mean, even on defense, too, things weren't the cleanest affair for Reciprocity. We had a lot of problems, mainly due to G2 always getting good intel and having a good setup that Reciprocity, especially for the first 2 rounds, just weren't able to stop. And a lot of that happens because Laxing was dealt with so efficiently. You brought this up in the middle of the game. Laxing was almost a non-factor for a large majority of those defensive rounds. So that's something we're going to have to see improved as we move over to Clubhouse, which won't necessarily be the easiest thing for him to do, as depending on the site, there may not even be room for him to play that role in the first place.
Exactly, and just to go back to that point as well, actually, yes, that is the thing that has the most effect on Reciprocity. When they get picked early on, there's not very many rounds where they actually won. The only 2 rounds that they won when they were first picked was round 3 and round 6. That's it. That's the only 2 rounds out of the 4 that they won. Otherwise, G2 capitalized on every single first blood throughout the entire series.
Yeah, it was a snowball effect in a lot of ways, as we continue to see, especially again for Team Reciprocity's own defensive half, that would just continue to whittle down the player count time after time again until enough control was lost where they couldn't hold on to the site any longer. And in quite a few rounds, it was just a pretty straightforward post-plant hold for many members of G2 on those rounds.
Yeah, I think the main thing to highlight on Consulate overall is that it all came down to strategy and who was getting those first blows that won that map. It really didn't mince very much else. That was really it. It came down to a lot of, okay, fast takes by G2 on offense. We saw that very creative take that they had on Garage, where they took from server instead in a very quick fashion because they saw the roam game upstairs. Honestly, I think G2 just has the third eye more open than Reciprocity does, to be completely honest with you.
And G2 as well, with showing both the capability to attack both fast and slow, as we saw from their opening half there too. First 2 rounds, again, gonna go back to that. The way that they just swarm onto site. Even in the second round, I think it was, where they took basement control. We didn't even have 2 minutes off the clock yet at that point, and they're already going for a full attack. As soon as they see a weakness, and they know for certain they can attack it without any issue, they're gonna jump on that, and they're gonna do it really quick. That's always been something, even in the online Pro League matches here for the first half of the season, that other teams have had to watch out for. And right now, Reciprocity, at least at the beginning of that, wasn't really respecting that. I do think they've learned their lessons since then, though, so hopefully we won't see that issue pop up again for Rec going into map number 2.
Yeah, and that's the thing about G2. Having that conversation with Fabian yesterday really opened my eyes to a lot. It's one of those moments where you know you should just shut up and listen because you're going to learn something. You know, that's kind of how the conversation felt. And I just asked him just very open-ended questions and let the man talk. And Fabian is a very intelligent person, as I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys know. And he basically told me, we just feel better with Sir Boss in the lineup. It's a lot easier. We don't have to worry as much. Things just go right, and we're trusting the information a lot more. It wasn't the fact that Crime was a bad player or anything, just he works more inside of our system, and that's really what we need when it comes to the Invitational.
At the same time, while some of the more mainstays from Reciprocity hadn't been doing the best in that matchup, the new guys were stepping up to the plate in big ways, most notably Nyx doing some great work from the Capitao, hunting down players in the early round, providing utility support, of course, but also being anchors on some of their defensive rounds. That final split site hold from him, as he was able to hold the spiral connector and waste plenty of time from G2's clock, on top of also Vertical having some pretty good holds as well, including a 3K in the opening round that they played on CEO and Meeting.
I think for Reciprocity, on their defensive sides, they just need to play that more aggro game. There's a lot of times where they just gave map control to G2 on rooms that they could definitely combat for, but I think that the main issue is those picks, is that they did not have the amount of troops that they wanted to handle the situations. Not enough manpower is a big thing inside of Siege, especially when it comes down to planting and roaming. You need that assistance. You don't want to be that solo roamer that once you get killed, there's nothing that really happens. They just get the kill and they're able to walk away scot-free. That's not the case when it comes to G2. We see a lot of their roam games come out where it's just Uno, Kanto on roam, everyone else either playing close to site or on site, and they're able to refrag as well as work off of each other. We haven't seen too many dedicated roams where we see a lot of utility being backed up inside of those. We've seen a couple of reinforcements get set up as per like lobby, where we saw them set up on the connector wall upstairs just to break up the angles a little bit and stuff along those lines. But enough of Consulate, folks. Let's get into Clubhouse, and specifically, let's get into these bans. G2 going to be on the offense, so they're going to get to ban the 2 middle operators. Capitao removed, and more than likely going to be Amira or something along those lines removed as their defensive ban.
It's our second map, folks, here. Remember, again, the last chance, at least in this series, for redemption for Reciprocity, as they now sit down 0-1 in this matchup. Echo is going to be our first defender ban, and meanwhile, going back on topic with that. And the final one, well, let's take a look here and see. A bit more open-ended in recent times, but they're going to fall back on the usual pick of Amira.
I'm usually pretty good about these bans. Usually. Echo being removed. This is somebody, especially for a lot of the folks at home that are newer to Siege, you're not going to see a lot of Echo. And there's a main reason for that. He's a nuisance. He's very hard to deal with. His drones are invisible. You can pocket one of them. They're able to stop plant. You're able to use them on roam to try and help out your roam in order to make easier gunfights or just get info so they peek with that instead of just peeking blindly. There's a lot of stuff that the Echo's yokais do that Evil Eyes don't with Maestro. The only issue is Maestro has a gun with 81 bullets. Echo doesn't.
Yeah. It's also, the Echo drones are pretty subtle, in my opinion, in that if the Echo player is specifically choosing not to use them until late round,
it's all
there's a lot of teams that in the back of their mind won't even really make that connection and just kind of ignore it, thinking it's not a thing, and then, you know, before you know it, you're getting plant interrupted with 2 seconds left.
Yeah, it's a very, very rough thing. Exactly as you said, Echo is an operator that requires finesse. It's all in the style of play that you want to play with those yokais. You can use them strictly for post-play. You can use them for information game. You can pocket one if you know that there's an IQ. There's so many different ways to play with his utility, and I think that's the thing that scares a lot of teams into banning away Echo. He's kind of a Swiss Army knife when it comes to being an operator on your defense, especially from the anchor position.
So setup being done. It's going to be a basement start here from Reciprocity this time as they get defensive start once again. See if things hold up a little bit better for them this time. As once more, they are looking to delay quite heavily with both the Goyo pick along with the smoke pick coming in vertical, even bringing a bandit here too to try and delay things a little bit more. I believe over towards that church wall. A couple other positions he can put those into. And actually a bit more active with his position right now as he's upstairs still with all 4 batteries in hand as the round has begun.
Yeah, Goyo, again, a newer operator. We explained him a little bit earlier on, but his Vulcan shields, he gets 3 of them. I think that's the biggest thing to highlight with Goyo is that it is a lot of utility to be placed around to cut off angles and make a couple of new ones. Earlier today, we saw Na'Vi actually setting up a couple of Goyo strats on Clubhouse, so we'll have to see if any of these mimic what we're looking at.
Vertical trying to play at the bottom of main stairs there and hopefully get a kill against the first person to aggress it, but is not the case. Buck moves forward, and that is going to be Uno taking control of these steps, knocking out the floorboards right before them and making sure that it's going to be a clean push for maybe not him, but the rest of his team at least.
Well, making quick work is G2, but what else would you expect on Clubhouse? Turtle set up for Reciprocity. Goyo shield popped in the main hallway as well, so making quick work. Now have Moto open, gonna fire a couple of shots just in case somebody's trying to hold an awkward angle, but this is where things are going to get hard and gritty. You're gonna have to see G2 make a forcible push here. They have to wedge their way on into sight. Drone game recognizing that blue is empty and no Goyo shield dedicated there. So Reciprocity having a little bit of a different idea as to how they want to apply Goyo to this setup rather than how Na'Vi did.
First of 2 impact charges are going to be using the Zofia as well in order to clear out a quick piece of barbed wire that blocks the way. Ooh. Kanto as he moves forward. Retro a little bit too far to deal any significant damage, but still caught on the way back trying to get behind the big unit in blue. Kanto is very ready for that and knocks out Retro with a clean headshot.
G2 are just the kings of pressure. It's actually insane. It's almost like a boa constrictor. They just get closer and closer to sight as their utility gets lower and lower and just cutting off all of these angles. And that's exactly what Retro's going to fall into. He thinks that that's a safe way, more than likely playing the blue stairs, but then it's going to get fired back on by Laxing, who's able to claim Fabian.
Laxing having a good hold inside of dirt there. Not a lot of pressure coming in from G2 on the other side, so he does have, well, up against the wall, he does have himself a good angle to play into it. He's going to be able to strike once again from it. This time Kanto going down, also pushing from blue. 30 seconds left. G2 is going to find themselves strapped for time soon if they don't figure out a way to deal with Laxing appropriately. Away from that, though, they are getting intel into some of the other players and starting to pressure in from Moto now. So that's not their only trick up their sleeve. This is the good news about G2, is they're always thinking about the secondary plan as well. You can see they've opened up the wall, leading on to the inside of Church as a potential option too, as they know the blue push is going to be hard, but still they commit to it. Sir Boss roams in. Pengu is going to be able to roam out through the Moto hatch in the main hall and pick up one more kill, but that's it. The rest of the team just runs into the grinder, mainly manned by Laxing there, as they shut down the push from blue.
Amazing turtle setup from Reciprocity to shut down that push, as you said. They were trying to go for a church execute there. They were getting people inside of Moto, as well as that thermite downstairs so they could possibly open up the church wall, but Reciprocity removed the pressure from blue very early on as they tried to flood to get control. Laxing was there on the angle from dummies that we weren't really able to see just yet until Fabian made that fatal error and was the first one dead on G2. So after that, G2 tries to flood sight, and again, Reciprocity is already having the angles established, was able to win out because of that. We are going to have a 6 pick come through, but it's not going to be the Capcan, folks. It's going to be the Clash into Valkyrie.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Still end up with the Capcan in play, which is not an operator we see picked very often by any stretch of the imagination here. So
has a very explosive personality.
Yeah, quite literally, in fact. So we'll see. Not being combined with Goyo, where we've seen actually some pretty dirty tricks being played in the past.
My nightmares.
Some insta-kills, setups there if you don't watch out for it. This is pro play, though, so I think there's a good assumption among Reciprocity that that's probably not going to work here. So still, though, going to bring the Capcan regardless, which is another thing that is usually thought of as something that just doesn't really work in pro play. So,
oh, it does. It does, and it works because of stuff like this. This is an area where you're not really thinking to check a door frame. there's someone on G2 that will make one misstep and take half their health and damage because of this. Simply because of where Laxing is putting these. Having EDDs throughout the entire map just slows down the offense. It's really not because he's going to do damage. What Kapkan is good for is just wasting time, because now you have to check every single door, top to bottom, because the one door you don't check is the one that kills you.
And to be fair, again, this is a problem that Reciprocity has been having, is G2 getting too much control too quickly, or too much intel too quickly, and being able to safely go for very fast executes that otherwise Rec hasn't really been able to stop too confidently.
Well, here's the thing about G2, though, that has always wowed me in how they handle maps. They really never go for anything too crazy, like a full map clear. They're just taking the bits and pieces that they actually need. So, for instance, Jacuzzi Wall. That is their first thing on the checklist. Let's get control of Jacuzzi Wall. Let's get some angles established. And they already have it done a minute in. Now, more than likely, they're going to focus on logistics, which is that hatch to the left of Fabian. They want to handle that, as well as might want some pressure inside of construction. Let's have to see what's in the cards for them.
See the push coming out here from Nyx. He's just going to try and face check that top hatch a little bit, see if anybody might be hiding there on drone. Not the case, though. There's no one hiding there anyway. Laxing, though, taking a bold swing out over there towards Strip. And is going to try and get himself a kill. Not going to work out, though. Half the HP is removed from Unameister, so an even engagement ultimately. And an even trade so far in the health department. Foxe, though, catches an easy one on a Fabian, caught leaping in to the building. And this spread out defense from Reciprocity as G2 now tries to vie for control downstairs after they have already opened the Jacuzzi Wall is not panning out for them.
This looks a lot more like G2, or excuse me, Reciprocity on this roam game here. G2, though, trying to be quick about it. Get the wall, frag grenade pours in, Retro bounces away. Vertical actually gets a kill, and he also gets the exothermic charge. Vert showing up now, trying to save his teammate inside a bathroom, and it works out for the better. Retro able to stay alive after a frag grenade gets poured into the shower. And it seems like it's Reciprocity all the way in round 2. Nick's knocking it down to a 4v2. All that's left is Kanto and Udo to try and capitalize on this situation. Not very much time left, but Retro makes the job even harder for Kanto Raketti. Doesn't have very much ammo left, and it seems like this might just be a makeshift timeout.
Yeah, the sacrifice there from Vertical pays back in huge dividends, giving Retro a very easy angle to shut down the 4th out of 5 kills. And as you said, for Kanto, there's just not really a world where he has a chance, let alone any safe option to get into this site. So he is going to fall back, let the time run down, and the team will have, as you mentioned, that free 30 seconds or so to discuss what went wrong there, what needs to be done in the future so that doesn't happen again.
5 seconds to go.
The main issue for G2 right now is that they didn't have any info on the east side, and that's exactly how Foxe slipped through the cracks. You actually heard the sound cue of the drone rolling through Lounge as Foxe killed the man that pushed stock. So they were very, very close on having the info to actually kill him instead. But again, slipping through the cracks inside of stock, just had not gotten the drone there yet. Fabian assuming that it would be clear, and he was sorely mistaken.
So into the 3rd round we go. It is going to go back up into CCTV and Cash now, where another attempt, or the first attempt I should say, is going to be made here to defend it for these guys.
Overall, a great showing from Laxing right now, and that's something that we did not see through Consulate. Already through 2 rounds, he's got 3 kills, so definitely stepping up as opposed to what happened on Consulate.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Yeah, making use of a lot of the angles that G2 aren't taking is the thing right now, is finding a lot of like safe spots and where G2 are choosing to avoid. So, of course, talking about Laxing, like the dirt hole that he had on Doc on the inside of the 1st round when they took basement control. G2, in theory, could have taken that, but as soon as it was guaranteed not to, he's like, okay, great, I've got a corner, and it's a safe corner I can stand in. No one can push me unless they push me from the front, so I'm just going to hold this. We also know they're attacking from blue. Oh, this works out great.
Exactly. It's not very risque. You just kind of have to sit there, hold your angle, go, okay, if they come here, at least I have a chance. At least it's a gunfight. And that's an area that Laxing is fantastic in. Gunfights, and that's exactly where he wants to be. Just playing a lot safer angles instead, and it seems to be working out for him. I think that might be the one thing that Reciprocity is still trying to get used to against G2, is that G2 always holds the risky angles, where opposed to NA, we see a lot of very safe things going, okay, they're going to do the smart decision, right? They're going to make the smart move. G2 is ready for you to do the dumb things. They are. They're ready for you to run at them. That's what they do so well against. and Reciprocity is starting to slow things down and make G2 actually bide for this map pressure, and it's working out very well for them. Obviously, we still have a couple of things happen that are more aggro, like Foxay being all the way over in stock, but the spawn peeking and all that kind of stuff the last map just really did not give them anything.
A little bit of trouble here as they try to get some information onto the player playing on the inside. The Bandit, of course, being manned right now by Vertical. Now, the window is open to his backside, so he's going to be very careful about trying to apply any Bandit batteries to that right wall from his perspective. Anyways, left wall from the attackers. However, here comes a little bit of utility to try to get rid of him. They do have the extra reinforcement going down there, although I don't think that's enough to stop the Zofia, should it be positioned properly. Figure that out for myself in just a second here as we have the first batteries coming in, the first grenade to try and knock it out. Vert's going to try and get the battery down, and it is looking like it is successfully tricked on the first attempt. So that's one Exo gone from Sir Boss. He'll have one more try at that if they want to do it again.
Well, the main issue is we're out of concussions and we're also out of EMPs. Once again, thank you, Ubisoft, for this amazing spectation system. We greatly appreciate you. This wall is not getting open, Blue. The only way that they get this open is if they get Kanto downstairs into Blue and then have him impact the floor inside of Lounge, which is not going to happen with a minute 24 left. So this is their only option. They're going to go logistics. They have to get construction control. And it looks like Reciprocity is already ready for that. Laxing going to try and go up main stairs. Fabian's already got control out of Master as Kanto is hot in pursuit behind him. Drone game still working its way across on this western side.
No garage pressure or anything like that now from G2 either, so they're working very one-dimensionally in trying to take control through construction and then get the site. That almost never pays off for the attacking squad because they end up getting funneled into a choke point.
This is a major issue right now. Reciprocity does not have construction reinforced, all except for the single panel that goes to the outside. Fabian can work his way in if he gets a pick onto Retro, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Can he go for two? No, he can't. Vertical with the MPX. Laxing attack on as well. Reciprocity has control of the entire situation. G2 stunted for growth inside of construction.
G2 is going to try and get a little bit of garage control going into their favor so that they can have multiple angles to push for. The problem is, though, they're only just now starting to do this. They don't have that full 3 minutes that is normally used quite a large amount of in order to clear out garage and the player on catwalk. That player is still there, still causing problems, and right now you've only got Pengu solo trying to deal with it. Because G2 is down too many players. Now the rotate has to come in. They can't take the garage control. They're going to try and go for a window push instead. 1-for-1 exchange. Laxing still has red stair control, and Foxy going to rotate up with him. Nyx also trying to hold, and Uno running right up with the shotgun to take down Nyx. The plant attempt coming back in. Where's the interruption? We don't see it. Diffuser goes down on the ground. However, next kills are going to be picked up by Reciprocity, and in just a second with the finisher onto Uno, they will pull off a very swift retake and close out on the round with both Foxy and Laxing still alive.
The Fox-Lax duo, it's something that we've grown to notate inside of competitive play, and it's going to bear fruit once again. Very impressive retake there, and I think the main thing to highlight is that if Uno wasn't downed, that would have actually been a very scary situation. So very heads-up play from him, though, with that skeleton key that gets him a kill instead of having to go for the reload on the C8. He knows he's in close quarters. That skeleton key going to help him out a lot more. But overall, very impressive that G2 even got the diffuser down. As we were saying before, that is a danger of keeping that wall unreinforced and establishing lines of sight into construction, is that you can be killed very easily on green box. If you make one misstep, that is your life. And then all of a sudden they have control of cash and they're able to get a diffuser down. And it happened at light speed. Fabian works his way in, able to get a kill. Almost kills Vert, but Vert just a little bit quicker on the trigger than Fabian had anticipated. So G2, yet again, not able to find their first round on Clubhouse. But again, this is Clubhouse. If you guys, again, are not mainstay Siege watchers, this map is extremely defensive-sided. Clubhouse, as well as Cafe, are our two most defensive-sided maps in the pool. So when you guys are watching those, always keep that in mind.
Props to Vert as well, and the rest of the team that was playing active defense on the wall for the successful trick, as that killed any hope of G2 being able to get the wall open. A lot of pressure, you even had the Zofia on that, so I'm not sure if the wooden reinforcement blocks the stun charge. It does, okay.
Yeah, so you reinforce it, punch it twice at the top, and when they shoot it through, usually what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to have the man that's playing red stairs stand close enough to the actual hole,
just kind of body
where when it goes through, the proximity sets it off immediately.
Yep. I think that's exactly what we saw happen with Foxay being the red stairs player to block the bullet.
And that's why they pay me the medium bucks. There you go.
All right, so this time we are going to have both a Hibana and a Thermite brought in, mainly so that first of all they can get this dirt door open and be able to get access to it for Pengu to push in and prevent Laxing from establishing that position he had in the first round. I think Laxing, considering his own personal operator switch away from the dock and onto the Mozzie, though, already signifies that he knows he's not going to be able to get away with something like that again on an ACOG operator.
I'm getting flashbacks here from USM. If you remember this is roughly the same setup that Reciprocity ran against TSM, where they made that fatal error with the drone inside of construction.
Oh.
Yes, this is very dangerous, but G2 is extremely good with their information game. So I think it might work out a little bit better for them. What happened in that previous match that we were just talking about is Laxing got misdroned inside of construction and got a very quick triple. In order to make things work. Kanto, speaking of working, finds our first kill. Nyx dies on blue, getting a little bit too aggro. Kanto dancing back and forth, but gets exploded. Pengu didn't have time to open up the wooden barricade, though, so he's stuck in mud for the time being.
The control of a very dodgy situation there from Foxe. Potentially could have ended up pinched by two different players. Throws one of them out of the map, though, with the C4, and thankfully is able to dodge the second push from Pengu coming down dirt.
Well, luckily enough, that was not everything in a handbasket for G2. They still have plenty of pressure to put on. A quick move from Uno. Goes for the second one inside of the safe corner, but Fox working both weapons, able to get the triple. The roam game comes through as well. Reciprocity. Oh my.
Gotta give Foxe the highlight on that one for his hold there in the back of the arsenal. Beautiful stuff from him. Two different situations where he's under a massive amount of pressure from multiple angles, and with just a little tiny bit of support from his teammates on the second one, he is able to stay alive that entire time. Huge props to him.
Well, overall, it would have been a beautiful execution. The only thing that happened there, the only misstep that made it to where Kanto couldn't do what he wanted to do, is that Pengu wasn't quick enough to get the barricade open to assist him. The whole plan was, okay, you push to B3, I'm going to take dirt, I'm going to break the barricade while you're gunfighting, and I'm going to swing on them. That was their entire game plan. But Kanto got blew up before that could happen. Good utility usage overall from Fox, able to stave off everything from that one single corner.
Got an interesting discussion going on right now between Pengu and Fabian. And almost disagreement, I would say, between the two of them in the way that the discussion is going. Pengu is certainly not happy right now.
Honestly, it feels like we're in debate. That's really what it feels like.
It looked like it there for a second with the two of them. I don't want to insinuate too much.
No, absolutely not. I mean, obviously, it's all good in competition.
Just going off of facial expression.
No, these two have been teammates for a very, very long time, and they both obviously have amazing brains for the game. They've been on the top team in the world for God knows how long at this point. They've been sitting on top of the Siege world. When you knew Siege, you knew Pengu, you knew Fabian, you knew Penta, you knew G2. This has nothing to do with, oh yeah, we're angry at each other. It has everything to do with, we're losing, how do we fix it?
They're angry at that scoreboard.
They're angry at the scoreboard. Be angry at the game. Don't be angry at your teammates.
0-4. Certainly a different story from the potential 4-2 halftime split that we ended up on at the first half of Consulate. Could end up with a completely flipped story, or one even worse in the case of G2, if Reciprocity goes the full distance and completes that site rotation for a second time in a row to end this defensive half. It is Clubhouse, a much more defender-sided map overall, so it is somewhat expected for the defenders to dominate on this half, but anything past this 4-2 is where things start to get a little bit ridiculous and a little bit more one-sided in the favor of that defensive team, especially on sites like this.
10 seconds left before insertion.
Absolutely. This bedroom is a very sketchy site when it comes down to it. We saw this the last time, but G2 just had a couple of errors over on the eastern side of things where they tried to take stock, didn't have any information on it, were immediately punished by Fox. That was a Thatcher that they needed to achieve the job of getting construction and everything else handled. Just did not have the tools at their disposal anymore. Pre-fire is coming in from Pengu. Actually almost ends up hitting Retro, who was currently behind the window.
Bit of a different flair to it this time, too, on the defenders here. Not any massive changes. We did have a few operators getting swapped out, most notably. Instead of the mute being brought in this time, they're going to bring a smoke. And in terms of a defensive setup, you'll note that this bathroom position does not have the second half wall soft this time, so they can actively contest against this jacuzzi opening. Instead, they've just left it reinforced so that Retro can sit there on the smoke and try to delay late round.
So, every single game, going back through the history of G2, for quite a while, all except for an outlier in the likes of Liquid at DreamHack to Montreal in 2019. They have not lost to an NA talent or a LATAM talent, all except for Liquid. They only lose to EU. That's it. That's very, very impressive.
That's all LAN matches.
That is ever since the Six Major Paris. That's all the way back to 2018. That is so very impressive.
About a year and 8 months or something like that.
Never do math live.
Yeah, it's probably more like 6 months, I think.
No. Actually,
close enough.
No. It's definitely more than that. We're 2020, my friend.
Oh yeah, we are.
Yeah, so it'd be like 18, probably 18 months, because Premiere is obviously.
That's a year and 6 months.
Yeah, so it'd be 18 months.
Meanwhile, we're missing the action here. Beautiful C4 coming out from Reciprocity. There you go. Case in point right there. Knocks out Fabian and Sir Boss in their initial attempt to try and push in and get bathroom control, or at least try and knock out the wall. So, 2 huge losses for them. Taking out, doing their jobs, yes, but Pengu now going to be able to find a trade. He moves in to catch Laxing, taking him down, and we end up in a 4 versus 3.
Easy does it for G2 so far. More drones being used. Pengus are already dead, so he's going to have to rely on his teammates to do something. Kanto's going to lose one as well, so we only have 3 active drones that can be moved. Sir Boss and Fabian could still have a couple alive. We don't have that information at our disposal. An unlucky frag grenade, but it's going to get immediately traded from Vert Lane next to the bed. Doesn't work out for him, though. All of a sudden down to the 1 versus 2. Uno not very much HP remaining as he lies inside of Secret. Has one to worry about on the main stairs, but not very much time to do anything. Retro smoking off his door as to deny access, knowing that Uno is low. They do still get those HP bars when they die, so they can read it out, but it's going to be a quick shot from Fox on the main stairs. Reciprocity linking 5 in a row.
There's far too much control still at that point in the round from Reciprocity. G2 with the denial into the bathroom opening, along with a few other key kills that they managed to get. G2 is given just not nearly the room that they need to execute. They attempt to kind of brute force it at the end of the round, but the trades do not work out in their favor, and Reciprocity still ends up with full control in the 1vx at the end.
Reciprocity's crossfires are working out very, very well for them, and I think that's something to notate and praise. G2 is just not able to win out those initial gunfights, and since G2 is practically the kings of being able to trade when they're at man advantage, they can't do that because they don't really have control of the man count. It's always in Reciprocity's favor. Even on those initial ones, like when G2 was able to find the first kill inside of Blue, they immediately push it onto site inside of Armory, and Kanto gets killed by a Nitro Cell, and already the take is over. Kanto was the spearhead, and he got removed. So it's like G2 is always trying to fight back to an even playing ground, and they really only get there and then fall back. There's never an advantage.
So G2 certainly struggling when it comes to a Clubhouse setup here. Reciprocity, already, we haven't even gotten to the second half yet, but already they're just 2 measly rounds away from closing out this map and taking us to a 1-1 fully loaded series to make yet another one go all 3 maps.
Just to notate one thing that I forgot about the G2 lineup. So they've actually lost to 2 LATAM squads. They also lost to MIBR at the OGA pit.
Okay.
So them and Liquid are the only 2 LATAM squads and anyone really out of Europe to actually beat G2. That's truly impressive and definitely tells you why LATAM is a mainstay region.
All right, well, Reciprocity, it's your turn to try and take the honor for NA here now, at least with regards to this map. And maybe map number 2 following this. As remember, we head to Border for our 3rd and final map following this one, should it continue to go the way of Reciprocity, and we end up at that 1-1 scoreline. So
well, I mean, I guess like, you know, Rogue the organization beat them in Pro League, so then kind of NA1, right? A little bit?
That's a big stretch.
That's such a stretch. No, it doesn't count.
We're about to break that belt stretching so much.
Yeah, exactly. So G2 actually gets some access now to server CCTV, but they now have to worry about Garage. Vert and Nyx have found some safe harbor inside of here. ADS is set up as well as a shield. This shield in particular, an amazing piece of utility to be played on this catwalk. It allows you to gain information and peek off that without having to worry about being shot in your face, which is always a nice thing.
So Garage Control is next up on the plate here for the folks from G2 after they have gotten the wall open successfully this time. Still a minute and a half as well, so a much more healthy amount of time to attack this area of the map with and try to take control. Laxing, though, is going to be able to find the opener, but it isn't long before he is traded out by Pengu. Takes us right down into a 4v4. Even take for both sides. However, there's more aggression right by that main door from Reciprocity. I believe it's Foxy who's going to try and look for revenge here. Leaping right out, and there we go, the same spot. The window's already open. Pengu's on a drone, so we can't trade it this time. Down goes Fabian.
The Reciprocity special. I bet you never bet that I would do it twice. Never, ever, and it works out. So
see me do it again.
Want to see me run to that rock?
Right with the next find, as now Pengu himself will finally fall, eliminating any more of that hard breach potential. Not that they really needed it. Nice opener from Kanto, though. It doesn't confirm the kill just yet as they're focused on other matters. But in the meantime, some other damage from another source. I'm not sure that was Sir Boss accidentally hitting him or something else, but it does take him down. Kanto is going to be able to withstand, however, get himself back into the fight. And now Sir Boss taking a lot of damage from off angles. Kanto, though, with the first pick up there. Foxy will trade him, though. Only a very low HP off of that withstand, and Sir Boss now alone in a 1v3 situation here. He's got 30 seconds, which is a lot of time in Siege, but just no real ground to work with. Foxy takes him out from down below, and Rec claims a perfect defensive half on Clubhouse.
Truly impressive, especially coming off of that game on Consulate. Reciprocity just looks like a whole different beast here. They're very good at holding their crosses. The utility usage is damn near perfect. There's really nothing to stop them from winning this entire map now. I mean, the only thing is that obviously Clubhouse is defender-sided, and they have to worry about these bans, but the bans are not that rough on the offensive side. We're so used to not having Maverick on Clubhouse. Everyone has found out a different means in order to handle walls and stuff like that, and hatches in particular. But with the Mira ban, as we've seen throughout history, Mira is just a mainstay thing that we used to have until bans came in, and she just got banned out all the time. So people just started throwing out Mira strats. And that's exactly what's happened with Maverick. Maverick gets banned out so much on Clubhouse, it's like, we already know how to handle the situation without him. We don't really need him. But if he's there, it makes things a little bit easier, you know?
So back to the basement once again for G2's initial defensive round. They're going to be quickly reinforced along with the rest of the site, as you might expect from G2. We're going to be bringing something pretty similar to what we were seeing the folks from Rec bring on, I think, their opening site here too. As a lot of delay being brought into the picture with both the Goyo and the Smoke to try and do that. You've got Sir Boss going in on the Maestro, which could add some additional delay, and even Kanto's work there with the Bandits. Potential tricks to be done on the church wall, more than likely not as active as you'd expect on something like Cache CCTV, but still delaying nonetheless to hopefully keep Reciprocity out of the site until it's too late for them to safely take control.
Yeah, Reciprocity fixing a lot of things coming from Consulate as well. They actually got picked first 3 times, and Retro being 2 of those 3, and they won every single round. So fixing a lot of errors that they had inside of Consulate, just not getting too aggressive when they don't need to, even when they are at that disadvantage. But I think the major thing to highlight from that offensive half for G2 is they did not make a single adjustment in their lineup depending on what site they attacked. They always brought Thermite, Zofia, Habana, Thatcher, and Buck every single time.
Much more committed lineup, I think, for that team as well, as it's a lineup that's going to work pretty universally across this map. There's a bit of an early exchange that happened between Uno and Nyx in the first couple seconds of the spawn for Rec. Oh, I think Nyx actually catching a little bit more damage there onto Uno, evening out from what was a 1 fight by Uno previously, but now no longer the case.
They also have an Evil Eye inside of Blue, which is very peculiar to say the least. I want to see how they're going to institute that into their play. Oh, I see. Okay, so what that's actually for is it's actually able to hit the Goyo shield that's on the door. They've set it up for soft destruction, as well as when somebody tries to plant by that cooler, that's a regular default area if they want to try and go quickly on the door, you can shoot them with the Evil Eye. So very creative setup here from G2 to make some soft destruction and use it for that Goyo shield when needed.
So hatch being opened, that is going to be the top blue hatch, or Stocks hatch, that'll be taken out, hopefully giving Rec a little bit more control they need to take the site here. Like I said before, it's been very, very slow, and you can tell that from G2's perspective. They are hard locked in this site. They don't want to leave it if they have a choice in the matter here. Trying to delay this as much as humanly possible, and so far they've done a good job at that, but Rec is getting closer.
Oh my
You've got the Zofia Vert. What are you doing? Just walking right. He didn't even see the Maestro at first, but that doesn't matter. He's going to be able to move it. Only gets one as Nyx assists on the second to take out Pengu. So much control gone their way. Kitchen Hatch is going to go down for free. Retro with the next pickup. G2 are falling apart at the seams, and there you go. A perfect round for Reciprocity.
And they're just walking off. Nyx. Oh my God, Reciprocity, what a sight rush. There was just so much noise going on, and if you guys didn't know, inside of Rainbow Six Siege, different levels of noise will actually whitewash the other noises. So when they go off, you don't hear the sound cue anymore because there's another noise that's louder than that one.
Biggest one being footsteps.
Yeah, exactly. Footsteps, when you shoot a gun, you can't hear footsteps, stuff like that. That impact going off, G2 had no idea. Fox A going 11-0, folks. Fox A did not die a single time throughout this entire map.
7 straight rounds, 6 defense,
Wow.
1 attack. Reciprocity could not be stopped here on map number 2 of their battle here against G2. It seemed like they weren't going to have what was needed to come back here in the second map, despite the closer fight that we had on our first map on Consulate, but boy, did they come back, and they came back with a lot, as G2 just did not know how to handle their attacking half here against Rec, as they continued to pull off retakes, strongholds, great angles to stunt these pushes, everything to counter out G2, and despite a few close calls, G2 could just never get it done.
I mean, really, the only round where Reciprocity was at risk was that post plant on CCTV.
Which even they handled that relatively
Yeah,
quickly.
they handled it in a fantastic fashion. I really did not see very many holes inside of Reciprocity's play on either side of the coin. They were able to gain pressure wherever needed, made quick work of Clubhouse.
As is often the case, the Siege is very much a map-to-map game, as we just saw, I think, a great example of that in those first 2 maps. So the question is, what will we see for both of these teams on map number 3, which is going to be coming up here in just a few minutes. It's Border, a map that it looks equally as strong in terms of record, anyway, for both of those teams. So we could have ourselves a real bare-knuckle brawl to finalize this series.
Does G2 lose against their first NA competitor ever? We'll see after this. Oh, I thought we were queuing up for break.
No,
oh my goodness gracious!
No.
Apologies, guys. That's my fault.
Yeah,
I thought, but I heard
Mess it up.
noise. I heard noise in my headphones, and I couldn't hear production.
It wasn't that noise.
That's all on me.
All right, so continuing that discussion,
Don't you love mistakes?
talk a
in the
bit
first
more
stage,
about
Chad?
Border,
Yeah, there you go.
Stokes.
Let's talk a bit more about Border. Why don't we? So Border, a map that is very rigid. It's the smallest map that we have inside of our competitive pool right now of 7 maps. Border, again, being the smallest one. You're going to see a Nomad band come out because of how small this map is. You can literally split up the entire map just with her air jabs.
giant donut.
Yeah, it's literally one, as you said, giant donut. That's really what it is. There's 2 staircases. Good luck when there's air jabs on the table. So you're not going to see that. You're more than likely going to see a lot of gridlock play. And you might see a Thatcher ban as well, because Thatcher has been a mainstay ban throughout this entire day for multiple teams, just because it makes the offensive life that much harder.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's really just for the west wall primarily, to stop people from being able to get that open so easily, that alone is enough to get back in the way of those guys, get back in the way of the attacking squad, and make their life a huge pain. Because bandit tricking at what point becomes like a child's play thing without having to deal with a Thatcher. Like, you know, Callie's not a thing here yet, so we don't have to worry about that. And then there's not really an option besides that, except for a really good Twitch drone placement. So
yeah, and that's especially with the Mute Mozzie combo that's just being brought practically constantly.
Assumably someone's helping the bandit with
Yeah.
that wall at all times as well, so the Twitch drone thing is just really not going to happen most times.
Twitch is like the last operator where you go, utility. It's like, no.
Like, we have nothing left to throw at you.
Here, take the F2, go shoot people. That's literally what Twitch is. It's like, we're going to get you info, you're going to shoot people. You might destroy some default cams.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Maybe a couple of ADSs.
Deny some info, that's about it. But overall, Twitch is not the op where she's used in that fashion. I still cannot believe I teed that up. Gosh dang it, chat.
It's okay, it's day one.
It is day one. We have a
Just don't make that mistake during main stage.
that would be much more awkward. I'd rather get it out right now and be done with it, you know. But I would say between these two teams, they actually stack up very well against each other. I was scared just a little bit that Reciprocity was not going to perform up to snuff, and this is the way to really get your name on the map as that fresh team. Again, picking up 2 new people as well as Redeemer coming on the roster. This is huge for the organization of Reciprocity.
Once again, very calm and collected here now from Reciprocity. 2 very different teams as we look at both sides of it. Rec sitting together, not necessarily looking amazed of themselves or too overexcited either, very focused on the game right now. And very much the same thing could be said for G2. Obviously a bit more solemn considering, we just lost 0-7. So, no team is going to be feeling good about that. But the best thing for this point forward for G2 is just to try and forget about that, get it out of their heads, focus on what's in front. Let's break that map down later. Only worry about the immediate issues that are actually going to carry over between the 2 maps. And these 2 maps played very differently, so there probably isn't a massive amount. It's going to come down to very small stylistic things ultimately.
Ooh, stylistic. What a word. I like that.
Word.
That was good.
I'll teach you guys some vocabulary for the next week and a half.
Thank you, Mr. Dr. Blue. I appreciate it.
Now I got to think of fancy words. Probably set myself up.
I feel like every single time I watch Parker commentate, I'm getting a vocab lesson.
Yeah.
He pulls some stuff out that are in references from 1993 when I was not even alive yet.
And with his fancy college degree.
Yeah, and his turtleneck.
Yeah. Sitting over here, just a high school diploma.
He doesn't have a degree. He doesn't have a degree either.
So he doesn't?
We're
I
all
thought
good.
he did.
We're all college dropouts.
I thought he did. Wait.
we're all college dropouts.
This is news to me.
Which commentator has a degree? I think Veli is the only one that has a degree.
I think Emzo has one.
Emzo has one,
Yeah.
and Milos has one.
Yeah.
Milos
definitely has one.
It's optometry, isn't it?
Yeah, right? Because he says he's like an eye doctor?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Did I just remember the optometry word off cuff? Oh my gosh, I'm literally the best.
Optometrist,
Dude.
I think is how you say it.
Dude, easy wins. Such easy wins.
All right, guys,
Like
here
that
we
Clubhouse
go. It's map number 3, just like Reciprocity's Clubhouse win, apparently. And we're getting into our final map of the series. Border is the battleground. It's G2 versus Rec. Winner moves on further into the upper bracket of their group. Loser not going home just yet, but does have to fight for survival in the lower bracket.
And just as it was put in the script, that's why I knew it. Thatcher is banned away.
Yep.
Border, a map that is basically team deathmatch, folks. We already gave you the roundup of it. It's a small map. You can cut it up very easily, especially when you have control of CCTV. Capitao going to be the other operator that's banned out.
So this is the interesting thing, because G2 had the defense, so they had the option to ban out the Nomad if they wanted to get rid of that. Attackers were now left with that option after Thatcher's knocked out, so Nomad's actually going to be left in because of that, since Attackers had that second choice.
So what that means for everyone at home is that you're going to see a lot more heads-up gunfights, because rotations are possible.
Yeah, roaming is going to be really tough for defenders, I think, on this one, with that anti-roam still available. You have all 3 of those operators that can be thrown in.
If I'm a G2 fan, I'm actually a little worried, and I'm going to tell you why right now. Reciprocity is known for their extremely aggro play of Border because the map is so small that you can rotate practically anywhere. It acts kind of like Coastline, to be honest. The map is very small, and it also has that massive donut in the center. With Border, there's multiple hatches that drop you to the next level, and a massive open square on the one end of the map that allows you to transition between floors very quickly, and you're able to capitalize on a lot of situations because of that. And with that, in Reciprocity's playstyle on Border, G2 might be walking into their first loss here. I really, really don't know, and I don't want to call it just yet, but it is looking a little scary.
All right, well, let's see what kind of map style we're going to end up with. Is it going to be Reciprocity crushing it, just like on Clubhouse, or is it going to be more of a close-fought affair?
Caster's Curse, that's what that was.
G2 control, like Consulate. Yeah.
It's
Don't blame me, all right? I'm setting up the storyline.
Yeah. Oh, no. I'm saying just overall. I'm like, oh, yeah, I feel like Reciprocity is going to do really well. This one, they just fall flat. Because that's how it always goes. I have the worst with luck when it comes to this stuff. Like, they're looking very confident. They look like having fun and stuff on Clubhouse. They're going to walk in here and just the worst thing's going to possibly happen.
Be sure to tell Laxing who to blame.
Yeah, Laxing's probably just going to blame me anyways. Gabe always blames me. It's always my fault.
All right, guys, well, here we go. First round getting started. We've got the spawn coming out now from Rec, and we'll see what exactly they're able to bring to the table. Like we said before, we do have a Thatcher ban, so getting that west wall, which is oftentimes the primary contention point. Well, actually, we don't even have to really worry about that right now, because we're not on that site. This is another map where we started to see teams kind of change up the site meta a little bit, and have been feeling more comfortable going for ones that usually aren't expected to be the traditional pick, which on this map is the upstairs site, as almost always in the past where we've seen a lot of teams go. In the last couple months, that's started to change, and a few teams have been experimenting, like we're seeing right now at G2, with starting with some of the more non-traditional downstairs sites.
Yeah, have the plan mapped out, but it's not going to be the plan you're going to be using just yet. Attacking Tellers, as you said, off-cuff site, doesn't have the best win percentage, but neither does Customs. It's kind of a pick your poison when you get down to these last two sites. But in G2's case, they're taking it first, just to try and get a little bit of a surprise off on Reciprocity, but nothing surprising just yet. Only thing surprising is that Fabian dies very early on within the first minute, and that's huge. Having that cardiac sensor off the map makes it to where Fabian does not have nearly as much information as he could possibly want.
Alright, so Reciprocity trying to clear out upstairs control. There is a member of G2 close by here they're going to have to deal with on the inside of the office, and it's not just one either. There's 3 players from G2 positioned on the inside of there, as Reciprocity is now kind of slowly swarming around them. We do have full reinforcement, including electrification, on the outside east wall. So there's not really going to be an easy way for them to be able to work their way in and get access there. Trying to clear it with a frag, but it misses. It's not going to be able to catch that Electro Claw. I'm trying to see where exactly it's positioned from my perspective. But either way, Reciprocity still ends up with the opening kill. Uno up the east stairs gets 2, as he actually does pick Vertical way back on that far east balcony. However, Retro in the mid position does trade him in a 2-for-1.
Remember the air jab conversation?
Yeah.
That's the air jab conversation.
Exactly.
There you go. So, only a minute left here for G2 to try and hold off this offensive front. Reciprocity doing a pretty bang up job so far, but they still have all the top pressure, and that's the main area that you need to hold down this site. You can actually play this entire site from upstairs. This is the only area of the map that you have to hold on to. You can see all of the spots you can possibly plant downstairs, but a quick move from Retro. Some stun grenades pour in. Kanto gets one. Can he get the second? He can. Very nice headshot. It's knocked down into the 1v1, but does Laxi know where he is? He goes to hop the decks, but Kanto's already shifted sights. He dropped down through the hatch. Laxing more than likely not hearing this unless they have a drone downstairs. He's gotten the diffuser, but the main issue is now is he's only got 1 drone that's alive, and it's already been deployed. So he's going to have to try and go for pre-fires. More than likely knows that Kanto has moved. Plenty of damage dealt to Kanto as well as he goes for this drone. He's going to see him. He's going to go for the pre-fire through the wall. More than likely, no, he's working his angle. This weapon in IQ's hand, so dominant in the proper cases, but he's stuck now. He has to bait for this push, and Kanto more than likely just going to wait until this timer hits 0-0, and that's exactly what he's going to do. But he actually gets it off on perfect time. Laxing rotates into bottom square. Playing tight on the angle. Not very much health here on Kanto. Kanto could get a lucky pre-fire if he goes for it, but the issue with the Roni, it does not have many bullets inside of the magazine.
No intel.
He has to predict properly here. Gets him back and forth. Nice shots. Lights him up quite a bit. Reloads. Does he knows that he's there, or does he think that he killed him? Goes for the pre-fire once again, but Laxing's playing it out perfectly. Does he recognize where he is? But no! Laxing gets him on the clutch. Reciprocity winning out their first round on border.
Beautiful hold from Laxing in the 1v1 there. Nearly lost his life due to almost a misplay, you could say, from Kanto and not continuing to push back out, but I don't think there was any real way for Kanto to know that Laxing was also going to be pushing inside, so you cannot fault him for that. He ended up falling back downstairs. We had that very prolonged 1v1 after we saw the rotate from Laxing to go downstairs himself, and eventually bails out, goes for the plant, leaves himself those couple extra seconds.
That timing was impeccable.
Where he's able to get it off and then finally gets out of the site, and this is the point where the situation flips. At that point, that's where Reciprocity has the control. They have the intel advantage. They know exactly where the last man on the field from G2 is going to be trying to play that. However, G2 doesn't have any info on Laxing. So as you can see, a lot of that diffuse timer just wasted in trying to hunt down Laxing's position. And although he got it, he didn't know it until it was far too late.
All right, guys, let's sit down and have the conversation. Why is Ella here? Why is Ella here? I'll let you know. Okay,
tell the folks at home.
I will tell the folks at home. For the people that are new, Ella is an operator that's been in for a very long time. She's gone for a while though. Yeah, she came back to us all the way back in Blood Orchid. So that's when Legion and Ying came into play, is when she came in. White Noise is when Zofia came in, which is her sister, in case you guys were wondering. But this woman has a lot of very, very bloody past, to be completely honest with you. When she was first released, her main weapon, the Scorpion, was just an absolute laser beam. It was truly terrifying. You could kill anybody, anywhere on the map, and it had no recoil. So what they did was they changed up the Scorpion's recoil pattern to try and help them with that. They made it, honestly, quite a bit of recoil. It was very hard to control, to where her Evo 12 shotgun was just better overall. Well, recently, they changed the Scorpion back for the 16 first bullets. So those first 16 bullets inside of the magazine have a lot less recoil than they once had, and it's made the Scorpion usable again. The danger of that is, though, that the Scorpion is now a terrifying weapon again, and mixed with her utility was his Grismont mines. When they go off, they concuss you to where you don't have control really of your sensitivity anymore. It slows your sense down, and your sight line is augmented. You can't see very well anymore. She's a force to be reckoned with. It's a very, very dangerous operator. And
where did you throw that from?
So he threw it out on AC. He threw it straight up in the air and it landed. It's a very smart thing to do because they can't destroy that.
Oh, so it just annoys you?
Yeah, so it's just constantly enemy detected outside, as you can see on our good friend Fox's screen here.
Oh, well played once again. It's Invite, so everybody bringing out the good stuff here for this one.
I'm excited to see some Ella play, to be fair.
We'll see where the position is, because Kanto's moving around quite a bit with her, so not necessarily standing into a default position. You can see, though, that Wrecker's setting up a lot of drones right now to watch out for that potential run out from whether it be Kanto or someone else on the team. A lot of roaming capability right now for G2 overall. You got 3 operators that could do the task between Uno, Pengu, and Kanto. Wall's going to be opened up, though, but Uno is going to get the first strike, able to take out the sledge on Foxe and bring us down to a 5v4.
Mini control still in the hands of G2 with that shield. They do have the wall open for box now, so Reciprocity can start to coil around this site, but the issue is they don't have much pressure anywhere else. Still have control of CCTV, but that might fall into the hands of the enemy at any given moment. G2, though, still able to play their positions. Half wall still in control, is going to have Nyx working 90, but quickly dispatched by Kanto, and that's Scorpion Evo.
Kanto just pop it up real quick for a nice headshot against Nyx. And that's the key, I think, still with it, is getting body shots. It may not end up working out as well as you hope, but if your headshot aim is strong, she is a force to be reckoned with the speed that those bullets come out.
In practice, her recoil really isn't bad with Flash Hider, to be completely honest with you. It's mostly vertical, but that doesn't even matter. It's Pengu to win things out. I actually assume that he just bamboozled them with his Prisma. I really just assumed that. He stood up 2 clean headshots. I'm going to think that he actually was able to pull that off. That's an insane move. Laxing not able to cross across to AC, and he's not going to do anything anyways. He's just going to stand on the roof. This is something that Reciprocity does often, that quite a few teams have adapted into their play. Where the last couple of seconds, if you know you're not going to win it out, just use it as a makeshift timeout, talk about things, get things figured out for the next round.
It also saves the last player's KD. So.
Exactly. Nothing like pad statting. Stat padding.
Padding.
Stat padding.
Pad statting.
Pad statting.
Instead of reverse.
Pad statting.
All right.
It's like this is a long time ago, but I used to say heat seater, and I could not get rid of it for like 2 years.
Seater?
Yeah, instead of seat heater for your car, I would say heat seater.
It's like
and
a flame that sits you down. Like. All right, so the first round won by G2 on the default upstairs site is going to go well for them. Probably not going to go right. Actually, yeah, they are going to go right back to bathroom and tellers and try that again. To be fair, it was very close. Came down to a 1v1. But there was plenty of time left before we got to that 1v1. I think that's the key thing here, though, is that G2 needs to try and delay upstairs a little bit better. And they weren't doing a terrible job of that. It's just that extra little push they need to give it here. Then it should be a much easier closeout.
And we're going right back to tellers. So G2 very confident in their tellers play. I mean, it would have worked out for them last time, but the main issue is that there was just so many picks when G2 tried to rotate to assist their teammates, and they had already cut off those veins. So for Reciprocity, I feel like it's just do the same thing really over again and just not overcompensate when you're trying to kill the last guy.
G2 just almost with like an all or nothing style to hold upstairs here in offices, which is like very important, but ultimately when it got down to the 1v1, there's just not enough room to play, I think, for G2, and most probably not enough intel, not enough control really over the situation.
Yeah, it was quite rough for them. Okay, well, we're rolling around into round 3 now between G2 and Reciprocity. If you guys are just joining us, these two have actually been at battle for quite a while now. Through the first 2 maps, Clubhouse is the most notable one. Reciprocity taking that one 7-0, which is not something you see happen too often against the squad of G2. But the first map taken over by G2 was Consulate. G2 with some pretty creative setups, especially on the split site, that seemed to work out very, very well for them.
Foxe hoping to get a little bit of a jump out there from somebody on G2 after he pops open the CCTV window, but not going to be the case. Pengu is going to sit back and play nice and quiet until the need arises for him to actually get into a fight. Very similar setup. In fact, the same exact setup that they used on the first time they attempted to defend this site as well. We're going to see the double reinforced walls over on the east side towards the balcony to prevent easy access from Reciprocity, and most importantly, pushing out this defensive squad and giving over basically full control of the site to Rec.
Well, Reciprocity sticking with the same lineup through 3 rounds, but that's how Border works. You just kind of bring the exact same things over and over again that do the routine jobs needed, and there's not very much else to it. There's no Thatcher, otherwise you'd more than likely see a Thatcher in play of the IQ that Laxing's currently bringing, or maybe hand it on over to Nyx. That's the beauty of the Reciprocity squad, is it kind of hand rolls around in a circle as to what people want to do. But Uno's going to capitalize on his first situation here, takes down Nyx as he gets aggressive, but quickly refrag. That's going to be Pangu, as they're getting even more aggros. It's going to be Retro, the hard destructor, to try and go for things. Nitro sell out from Kanto to make a new line of sight through Mini, but again, slow take here from Reciprocity. Plenty of time wasted, and that's what Kanto's main focus is. How much time can I possibly waste here? Does have grenades. Foxay going to prime one up, gonna bounce right in. Kanto actually ends up getting away and back to Mini. So perfectly timed, just not cooked enough. Vertical ready for him on the prone peak, but Vert, very fast reactions we've seen from this man in the past, so more than likely just a quick flick to the ground to dispatch him. Do still have to worry about work office though, but Laxing's got the rotate, claims Sir Boss, and all of a sudden it's back in Reciprocity's hands. Only 40 seconds remain for this Reciprocity squad to get a diffuser down. Diffuser's going to be in Vertical's hands as well.
Laxing a huge job there with the sneak almost, that he gets into the main hall just outside of one of the sites. He's able to give himself a lot more room to play with and ultimately catch that rotate, as he said before. So great heads-up play from him. Got active contention coming in from Fabian above the east stairs now. Once again, trying to delay as long as possible, but he is being pinched slowly but surely. Misses the rotate out from the side. In the meantime, Uno is going to be able to grab Vertical, but Laxing is successful in taking out another member of G2. It won't matter with Uno still holding upstairs control, though. Easily eliminates Laxing. Now, one of the last players, Foxay, trying to get into this duel with Uno, but he just can't find it. Trying to dodge him, get away from soft destruction. I don't think he's done the job as dropping in. This is an easy walk up. Oh, well, apparently not that easy, as it takes him 2 more shots, but does get the job done. Uno takes Foxay out of the picture, and G2 find themselves another round.
Fantastic play from Uno upstairs, and that's the thing that's really stumping Reciprocity on this teller's tag. They got very lucky last time that they had more time at their disposal when it came down to Laxing clutching up. The only thing that won them that round is that Uno didn't rush to try and stop him when he was planting, because there was still time for him to get off the diffuser. Uno tried to play smart and wait for the overtime to where he could not get off the diffuser anymore. He had to stick it, but Laxing had created enough space to make it to where he could plant still within regulation. So overall for that round, Reciprocity with a really good take, but it seems that Uno just continues to come back to bite them. I mean, you can even tell from the scoreboard.
7-1.
He's finding those frags and playing his position very well.
Uno doing some great work right now here from the offensive side, or defensive side, I should say.
Hey, you should say that. What are you doing?
Messing up.
How dare you mess up when we have to
Stay
talk for 3 hours?
Well,
Gosh darn
Stay
you.
one, I think. Actually, I don't get to make those decisions, so.
It's almost like we say 20,000 words in a broadcast or something. It's crazy.
Someone actually count that?
Huh? I just came up with the number off the top of my head.
Oh, okay.
It feels like that, honestly.
Count it for us.
Please don't. I don't even want to know.
Oh, I'm just saying that because I know someone would do it if we entice them enough.
Give us our word accuracy. Let us know.
I mean, how many grammar mistakes I made.
Yeah, I'm at a 98% for this. I'm feeling pretty good.
All right, we got the Valk setup going in. One camera going to be chucked in on top of the desk in CCTV, with the rest being spread out here too. Obviously, the IQ is in play from Laxing, so those cameras won't be too much trouble for Rec to deal with, as has been the case for quite a few rounds here now. Entering the fourth, though, go back to Workshop and Ventilation. It's going to be the site this time around here. Reciprocity still going to have to, much like the previous other downstairs sites that have been attempted, will still need to take top control over towards the Armory and Archives in order to much more easily get control of the downstairs site.
Well, Vents fresh out of the box for this map of Border. Haven't seen it just yet. And it's a pretty unique site. Split in between one wall with a very small room being Vents, and then Workshop being on the other end of the basement. So it's a pretty long site with not very much room around it. It's really just a complete rectangle of a site as you break down the single wall. This entire site is all about taking vertical control. So you're going to be looking to Pangu to try and make a stand upstairs with Kanto in order to hold things down. From those positions, you can stop most of the default areas of plant, unless you find something pretty unique that not very many people know about, because I really can't think of one off the top of my head which you could possibly grab. A very long line of sight established here from Reciprocity, which is going to make Pengu hit the deck. And it seems like Vert's playing on top of the desk as well, just to stretch that angle even farther.
Fox 8 continuing to look for any way to piece out these players on the inside of Armory and knock them out, or at least force them to rotate, but doesn't necessarily have the most support. It's just these two players trying to push in right now, so they've got to be very careful about how they approach this, not to mention the diffuser is with them too, so should both fall, especially if it's pinched by another roamer, it could get very bad for Rec very quickly, and they know this, so they're not taking any chances.
G2 with their typical play. There was an interview quite a long time ago where they said we have a 5-second rule. If you cannot get to your teammate within 5 seconds and assist them, then you're not doing your job right. And as we can tell, they're very good at doing their job right. Kanto just rips through Nyx. Retro follows it up though onto Fabian as more utility gets burnt on half wall. And this is what the setup is made for. Sir Boss with a nice nitro cell takes out Retro. So actually G2 finally in the driver's seat. Another frag grenade to half wall, but not ready for Pengu to be on the off angle as Fox gets torn apart. Only 37 seconds left as Laxini's trying to make a play right onto the coattails of Uno. Quite a bit of damage, but he's going to rush right into side. He knows that he's going for the rotation hole, but he's not ready. He was going for the prone, which does not allow you to ADS. Kanto and Uno capitalize on the situation.
G2 with a great hold upstairs, and for Reciprocity, nowhere near the coverage they needed to clear out those Armory players. As we saw, we had a few more trying to run in towards like Arsenal and whatnot, or towards like Archives and whatnot towards the end, but it was just too late to apply that secondary angle. Really only the one angle on the west wall leading up to that point meant that G2 had a very easy time just holding their own angles and keeping the push from Reciprocity at bay. That wasted so much time that Rec were just forced to try things. They ended up just peeking directly into their opponent's POVs, trying to jump in through windows, which were dealt quickly by nitro cells. Nothing went their way at the end of the day, and it's why we now see them in a tactical timeout.
Yeah, that half wall had them stumped, and I do not believe that they were ready for Kanto to come and assist Pengu. And what a great call from Pengu for that assistance as well. Kanto's job inside of that setup is to sit inside of Archives and wait for them to take office or try and get aggressive in that area, even towards beepers. Whereas Pengu's entire job is just to hold down the box wall. That's his entire job, hold down that Armory wall, make sure that nobody can possibly get inside, and try and waste as much time as possible doing so. Reciprocity just threw everything in the wall and hoped that it stick. They got, obviously, the wall open, but the main issue is that they were peeking in tandem off of the angle from where the bomb chassis sits upstairs, right off of Sandwich, and just continued to rack up kills. There was really no answer that Reciprocity had because they were all solo peeking. There was nobody there to try and win out the gunfight after somebody had died. It was just Reciprocity trying to regain angles, and continuously G2 stumped them.
All right, into the next round we go. So we have one of our last rounds for the half here. 2 more left on the defense for G2, including this one. So far, things are looking pretty strong. A 3-1 lead into their favor. Just 4 more rounds, and they'll have control of not only the map this time, but the series going their way. 6 more in the meantime for Reciprocity.
The only issue that you can really see with how they handled that half wall is the fact that they didn't take Sandwich or even having someone on...
like I said, no alternate angle to push it.
Exactly. Not having someone on AC earlier.
I think they did have Vert try to push from like East Stairs door at the very end, but it was like way too late.
Yeah, it was way too late.
Way too late.
They established the issue after people had already died. And by people, I mean a lot of people.
It was like the other push had already been dealt with, and he just tried something in the last minute. So I wouldn't even really argue to say that it was part of the push at the end of the day. So I don't know if, because we didn't really check out that side of the map so much, I didn't know if there was potentially more presence from G2 limiting that push or another factor that prevented them from doing it, but for some reason they just were not able to establish any secondary angles for that half wall push, and it just stalemated to the end of the round basically.
More than likely, it's just Reciprocity's general idea of how to take that site in particular is, okay, we just pressure this wall and then go for the next step. They just didn't have the time to make the adjustment with the information that they had at their disposal, which happens all the time. That's how it comes down to strategy sometimes when teams win and teams lose. Just happened to be that it was Reciprocity's time. Frag grenade bounced towards Suicide, doesn't claim too much, is... well, Fabian's over in the corner. Doesn't have to worry about really anything from that position as with the frag grenade. ADS is set up as well over in his corner just in case, but Fabian's going to whiff on a drone. Doesn't mean too much as Reciprocity is still pretty easy going. Everyone's sitting outside of radio window for the time being.
First minute of the round now gone. Reciprocity, like you said, still keeping things nice and cautious. In the meantime, you got players like Kanto and Uno
What
on
is that
some
angle?
very tiny bullet hole angles here. Uno specifically has the potential to work out very nicely if anybody crosses down east stairs and try and take lobby control. Although that's a pretty unlikely thing to happen given Rek's current position. Still a nice position though, and one that I'm sure we'll see Uno be able to use in the future in this tournament. Uno though is going to end up taking a little bit more damage because he's forced out of his position and tries to peek a wall. Retro in the meantime will handle a jump out there from Fabian. And that'll be a lead starting to establish itself for Reciprocity. A small one at this point, but a lead nonetheless.
Very nice grenade from the dome. Able to get rid of that Electro Claw. So now they have office control, but look at the time once again, folks. Time has ticked down quite a bit, only down to 1 minute and 8 seconds, but they still do have to worry about Sir Boss, or might as well call him Sir Turret for the time being, because he's on Maestro. That Alda 81 bullets recently got its ACOG removed, but didn't really have too much to do with its effectiveness overall. It can still rip through multiple targets, and you still have enough bullets to mow down an entire team without blinking. Nyx, very low HP, working his way through office, still has stun grenades in hand. Going to break open the top wood above Archives to get the Evil Eye, but the explosive radius doesn't go around the curve, and it will maintain. Second one comes out now. Quite a bit of damage actually on flank, or actually no, it seems to just be a spray through the wall. Oh, dancing back and forth is Sir Boss as he knows that Fox A is now outside on AC. Free Fire's coming back and forth, but it's going to be Kanto with an explosive device to claim one. Reciprocity going no holds barred here as Fox A hops in the window, claims one, but he's been downed outside luckily, which allows him to finish that animation. Vertical tries to cut off the rotate here, and he will. Who has the diffuser though? It's going to be on Retro, who's currently planting behind the bomb chassis. They've shut down every single angle possible, but no! Oh no! Oh my! He gets it through the floor with a quick change of angle, and Reciprocity gets stopped at the very last second.
Can see the spam coming in right there on the end of round replay. Just starts, they gets a ping, or hard ping I would guess, and just starts spamming through the floor in hopes that he's able to take his opponent out, and he succeeds in doing so. I was worried because there was definitely an assumption that G2 were out of Nitro cells at this point. They wouldn't have been able to make that push happen, but thankfully they had the position from Uno downstairs. He continues to dominate here, now 9-1. With Kanto not too far behind, it's 7-3 too. Got quite a few members of G2 waking up, and they needed to.
Yeah, and just going back to that thing where you said that you thought that it was a hard ping, they actually destroyed that Evil Eye. So that was just pure game sense from Uno.
Nice.
Proper guesstimation, my friend. A little bit of, geometry, make sure you line up your angle.
Yep, got the call on the default plant, probably right behind the chassis.
Saw him cross from the door, bada bing, bada boom, you got around.
Make the call, use your mic.
Yeah. Would you please hold your talk key and talk? That'd be very helpful. As you would know from recent history.
Don't even talk about it.
Guys, we're
not talking about ranked, right?
We've gotten Blue more into Rainbow Six Siege, guys. I've succeeded. The only issue is that every time he solo queues, no one talks to him. So his rank games have just been terrible.
I want friends. Nobody wants to be my friend in ranked.
Just don't stop being gold and I'll play with you.
Just get better, Forehead.
Dude, I don't know what you want me to do. All of my accounts are above Plat 2.
Ace every round, Forehead.
Oh my gosh. Just shoot straight. That's all you need to do. That's it.
Just click on heads.
Did you ever think about, shooting straighter? Did you ever think about that?
My stats are fine.
It's just everybody else that sucks.
Yeah, everybody else is the problem.
You're the typical gold. Everyone else is the issue. It's not me.
All right, so here we go on the next round here. Final one of the half. Reciprocity's last vow on the attack. Going to be going up against, it looks like another Teller's defense here from G2. On this one, a bit of a mixed bag for them. One barely won by Reciprocity. The second one much more cleanly won by G2. So we'll see if that'll be which side of the coin, we'll get here for this final round of the half.
It's a good question. I think the answer lies in what happens in these next 30 seconds here. G2 and a little bit more heavily into the info game with that Valkyrie pickup. See her actually quite often on border, but she can help out with a lot of utility usage for the defense.
Fabian notably still saving one of those cameras. So either to throw that out late round or just didn't have the additional time to get the third one up on the board. So a little bit of unused utility there, but potentially, like I said, still could be used late round. So not gonna fault there too much just yet.
What a place to play underneath blue desk. Downstairs in the hallway where the metal stairs lies. Oh, actually, no, excuse me. He's actually inside of Teller's playing on camera. Very hard to identify the desk that looks the same as all the other desks while you're staring at the desk.
Yeah.
So, top control here for Reciprocity. Already have control of armory lockers, but this has stunted them quite a few times before. They need to find an answer this time. Don't have nearly the aggression coming out from Kanto and Pengu as they do on their vent setup. So, looks like they will have control of archives for the time being if they want it. But as for right now, Nitro Cell coming out, not going to hit Fox. Frag grenade sails over the wall, but the Nitro Cell is going to be poorly timed and the fountain wall will be open.
We normally have had that reinforced in previous rounds too, with electricity, either through the bandit charges or otherwise, but that time not the case. So Rex allowed to open that wall for free. Vert will also get the first entry off of that as well, and some great damage done onto Sir Boss, either through that flight or another detached one. Pengu waiting for the push to work its way in. Remember, still under a minute remaining. Fox with a nice find. Pengu can't even see him as far as I can tell. Just gets a massive advantage there on the peak and takes him down and brings us down to a 4v3, favor to Reciprocity.
G2 up against the ropes right now is dancing with the window is Fabian. And very passively, holding a nice angle, but gets in yet another gunfight. That MPX just not hitting hard enough to take down Nyx, who wins it out. 18 seconds remain. G2 on their hind heels here now.
13 seconds left. Here comes the plant from Retro now. Should go down without too much of an issue here, as there's a big rotate coming in from Uno, but keep in mind, it's a 1v4. Uno has to watch every step he takes. Tries his best to get into position to interrupt the plant, but just won't happen.
Every move he makes.
Every step he takes.
They'll probably be watching him, to be completely
More than likely.
unless they don't have any more drones, which could be definitely the case. But Reciprocity has everything signed and sealed here, just is waiting to be delivered. First shots ripped through the floor, Retro dies, but now they know he's upstairs. And actually, the man that was pushing up the hallway to try and take a peek on Office Door just rotates off, just holding the angle instead. Doesn't have to worry too much about it. Sees the other one. Actually is not able to get the shots. You thought he had it there for just a second, but gets torn away from Uno. Fox A to close out Reciprocity's second round.
What's some great info? I'm pretty sure that was coming from Pengu, because I believe that information either came through an unshot, or it actually would have just came from a Valcam that would have been thrown out. Because remember, he had that one extra one, and I noticed by the end of the round he did use it. So I think it ended up getting used somewhere in that area, and that was what gave them the intel. Just not enough, obviously, to win a 1v3.
I'm just going to say thank you one more time for that. I love the spectations. It's fantastic.
It's great, isn't it?
It makes my job so much easier.
I can now say that with relative accuracy.
Yeah, exactly.
2 days ago, I would have just been guessing. So,
like last night going through face clips, I'm just like, okay, what are they doing? I don't see where this utility was used. Do they still have drones? I don't really know, to be completely honest with you. It's one of those things where you just have to guess on how they're playing. Like, it's like a mood ring, you know? It's like I feel like they're playing very
How do you feel this
right
round
now.
went?
How are you feeling like this round went? Well, I feel like their drones were just dead. Like, you know, that's really what it was. Just guessing like a mood ring. That's really it. But now, switching things over for Reciprocity, they'll be on defense with a little bit more of a unique setup. Legion going to come into play, but they're still going to be playing the Kaid instead of rocking those bandit batteries. It's a little bit safer usage as well, because the bandit batteries, obviously, you have to put on the floor. Every single team, all the way down to people in T3 and ranked, know how to get rid of bandit batteries on this wall. You literally go to the main door, the double-paneled door, and you Zofia charge, buck, skeleton key, anything that's explosive, come to the bottom of the floor and destroy the bandit batteries. Plain as day.
And that isn't really something that you can ban away just because you said it's two different operators. So unless you really want to use your bans on, and when you got your opponent that's to go on it with you too, on a Zofia and a Buck, which, let's be real, that's not happening.
Ash can do it. Ash can even do it.
Technically Ash can do it too, so.
It's so not, or you can just frag grenade it.
You can really.
there's somebody.
There's not enough bans to stop it from happening.
For God's sakes, you know, like everyone and their sister can get rid of those bandit batteries. So that's why you see Kaid in play. A TCSG. Kind of a hard weapon. I've actually heard some pros just flat out don't like the thing. But
I can't use it.
I really can't use it either.
It's super random for me.
It's a very random weapon, which is why we see a lot of holographic use on it, kind of how this gunfight's going. Very random. But Laxine able to find safe space downstairs as he drops through the hatch inside of box.
Fabian trying his best to get a little bit more drone work done here. Once again, we talked about this before. G2, a team that thrives on intel and often pounces on it when they have the full picture painted. So being very cautious as to not over-peak or over-aggress, and when they do, making sure that it is a very formulated approach here. You can see again, Kanto and some of the others, most notably Fabian, looking for a route out from break room to try and find the player around 90, but just not able to get a safe fight right now.
This is just Such a fantastic setup here from Reciprocity, holding every angle that they possibly need, especially inside of that 90 with a deployable shield. They actually have the wall electrified, as you can see, with one of those electro claws from Kaid of Foxay. So that makes it all the more safer. They can't use any hard destruction to get the wall open. It's a fantastic setup that's wasting a lot of time because G2 has to adjust where their players are in order to handle these situations. Nyx is actually rotated downstairs into server, more than likely because he has that nitro cell and he's waiting for post plant. No, actually Nyx is the one bringing the shield, excuse me. I apologize about that. It's actually going to be Foxay who's rotated downstairs and has the nitro cell instead. You never really see a Valkyrie bring a shield. That's something very unique and more than likely going into that 90 play.
Down to the last minute of the round here, Reciprocity yet to really have any contention against them. We had that tiny little sliver of damage done to Kanto and Fabian, but so far that's been it. It's going to change very quickly though. Foxay and Vert both find kills, and now Laxing with a third as he takes out Fabian. Very quickly this round has changed, and certainly not in the favor of G2. Kanto down to half HP. Pengu finally going to strike first blood here for G2 on the round as he takes down the Valkyrie. We've got a few other players that are somewhat low as well, notably Laxing along with another, but Foxay holds strong here on the inside. He's going to be able to take out one last player. Kanto tries to force the issue on a fake defuse plant, gets off it relatively quickly. Nobody on Rec takes the bait though. Nice shot on the nitro cell mid-air, but it's not going to save his life just yet. Peeks into a double peek from Rec, and they shut it down.
Fantastic play from Reciprocity here, and honestly, of all times to take a timeout, I think this is the time for G2. This offensive half not working out too well for them just yet. Reciprocity starting to make the comeback, and this is where they can equalize here as they're choosing Vent's Workshop. Talking things over, but it seems like they don't feel too pressured just yet to use that tac timeout. Remember, you only get one per map, so you want to hold it till the absolute last moment that you possibly want to use it, or try and get ahead of the curve. G2 feels like they can fix this amongst themselves rather than talking to their coach. Uno, though, already in the double digits through these first 7 rounds that we have played out, and looks like we're going to have our first Maverick in between these two as well.
Attackers need to locate.
Finally coming in. Actually, no, we had him last round too.
Oh yeah, we did. He just died very early. Died very early on.
Didn't get much done, unfortunately. So Sirboss is going to bring it to the table this time. Reciprocity once again doing all that beautiful reconstruction work down here as we're now going to move to the event and workshop site. Rec proceeding much more down the traditional line of sites that we expect teams to play here on Border, starting that upstairs hold and now moving here into vents.
So much soft destruction on this wall for vents, and this is a traditional setup here, but the thing about it that I want to notate is that there's no safe area to plant inside of B anymore. You can see people at a crouch level because of the placement that they put it on the wall. Usually they'll put it a little bit higher so that you can play the main door on a pixel angle when you stand on the desk, but instead they put it at the mid-level. So you'll actually be able to see the head of somebody that's trying to put a diffuser down. So that entire area, unless you have the entire site in your control, it's no man's land. You don't want to be there.
So into the next round, we shall go the second round for Reciprocity's defense, which so far has gone great. Beautiful stalemate on the opening round there, just not letting G2 get that setup, and most importantly, the angles they need to go for that very fast and very shocking often execute. Therefore, had to force their way in with low time, which Reciprocity handled with relative ease. Got Kanto quickly taking control of East Stairs. Not seeing much aggression from Reciprocity at this point. We're holding, obviously, the 2 players off-site, holding upstairs towards areas like the Arsenal, or Armory, excuse me, along with the Archives, but it's not going to matter much here at the beginning as we do see Laxing will get caught out. Not sure if that was through the wall or through a peak.
It was.
Through the wall.
Absolutely.
Right, so there's that intel. Oh yeah, we got a big opening here, so that's how he died.
It's a very large hole.
I didn't see the hole for some reason from the top-down view. I don't know why I didn't see it there. But.
It happens to the best of us. Just do not worry, my friend. Well, camera's still in play for Vertical and the rest of the squad, and Laxing's going to be on that duty for the rest of the round here. Overall, defense still holding strong. They have office control now in the hands of G2. Sirboss with the diffuser in hand on radio window, as Pengu is actually level below them inside of Tellers. Kanto currently playing around inside of office as well, so open the hatch and drop down. They're trying to get Vents control here, but they're doing it the opposite way. So since that setup for Reciprocity looks into Vents, their main focus is Workshop. We still have Uno upstairs in tandem with the buck of Fabian, so they're still worried about that top pressure to try and cut off rotates, but they're going to attempt to plant Workshop here. That's the whole plan.
Attackers have located.
Well, once again, down to that final minute for G2 to try and move in and take control. They've got man advantage this time, along with seemingly a good plan to make this work. Nitro Cell thrown down from above to give top-down play, and it works too. Kanto seems to treat it as though it's not a problem, but actually it's looking like the kill comes from Foxay instead. Pardon me. He's going to be able to finish off at a minimum Kanto. Sir Boss will trade onto Nyx, but that's not before they got another kill. We're now even at a 3v3.
This seems to be where Reciprocity wanted G2 to come from. They've already had the soldiers in place to work these angles. It's working out pretty well for him so far. G2 on the offensive front, though, finally finds some more help, but it's going to get immediately traded from Vertical down to the 2 versus 2. Foxay Vert versus Sir Boss and Fabian. Sir Boss, a brand new addition to the team, currently in fight with Foxay, but Vert finds one across the map. Sir Boss gets bodied by an M590, and Reciprocity equalizes.
Foxay doing some great mid to long range work on that M590 throughout the round, including not only this kill, but the one that he got against the player in those bathroom stalls as well. It's a second round going for Reciprocity on this half, and now, more importantly, the tie point to bring these teams to an even fight at 4-4. Both now need 3 to win, or 2 each to take it to overtime.
Will Reciprocity finally do it? That's the main question here. Can they finally get a win past the goalies of G2? I have to see here, but currently sitting at split, and things are pretty even keel here between these two teams. Uno a little bit ahead of the pack with 11 kills right now, currently the only double-digit kills on the board, but as you guys can see, he's finishing all those kills as well. No assists at all inside of that column. And a lot of those kills actually came from their teller setups on their defense. Not too much of a showing right now for him on the offensive front.
So moving over to yet another site here now, Reciprocity is not going to afford themselves the teller site that we often see teams go towards. Instead, it's going to be over in Customs where they'll send their third and final point, the triangle towards.
I hate that spot because I know you can get up there, but I've never been able to get up there in my life.
Oh.
I try it almost every single time I'm on border.
A spot.
Yes, you have to break the buckets, and then you're able to clamber up on top with these blue pails underneath. You're able to put an evil eye up there. It's a very good position.
Gotta have a diagonal angle. That's the key to getting all those.
I never thought I'd use geometry inside of my line of work, but I use it all the time.
Emzo taught me that like apparently the key to getting up on all those weird angles is just to do it at like a diagonal angle.
Emzo the analyst.
Yeah.
What a guy.
He knows a lot of small things about the game like that. Because I've been able to get up on a couple of crazy spots. Just like, oh yeah, just do it at a
I know
angle.
most of them. That's the only one that gives me trouble. That's literally it. That and the trash can and Consulate. Probably because I'm the trash can.
No, I don't think I've done that one either.
It's a nice one. It's a good one. But back to the task at hand between these two. Reciprocity running pretty good rough shot over the defense so far, and this is a man we need to talk about. Foxay on the pulse, a very unique setup that he runs on this weapon that he's actually known for at this point. Vertical grip, extended barrel, red dot. And he told me the reason that he runs this, and specifically the red dot is he hates how all the other sights look on the ump. The red dot is the only one that looks good to him on the ump 45, and that's how he runs all of his guns.
Like in terms of view model?
Yeah, in terms of view model, that's how he runs all of his weapons. If the reflex makes the gun look better, he runs reflex. If the hollow makes it look better, he runs hollow, and so on and so forth. That's how Fox picks his sights on his gun. So, pretty unique way of doing that is a lot of people are just like, I'm strictly a hollow player, I am strictly an ACOG player, and that's it. That's just bar none.
All right, guys. Well, oh boy! Kanto with the casual one tap, and Uno follows it up as well onto Foxay. Not the start to the round that Reciprocity would have liked here, as both their Pulse and their Jaeger are gone to the wind here. And you've got Vertical now precariously stuck. Oh, even more stuck now. Not that he would have wanted to charge at his enemies, but he is locked in to CCTV, and his only hope for escape is down that hatch.
Well, he needs to waste as much time as possible here because he more than likely is going to need assistance here in just a second. That being Retro. Vertical can drop down the hatch and help him, but the issue is his Laxton's all the way over in Armory. He's really not even a piece of the puzzle at this point in time. Kanto seems to be playing with him though and just keeping him locked down inside of that area. where ACOG angle's being held, but G2 continues to push the envelope. Vertical dies upstairs inside of box, and now looks like Laxing wants to take a peek off of Armory. Here's the repel, so he knows that more than likely Pengu's upside down, doesn't want to take that gunfight. He's going to return to a safer space downstairs inside of Workshop. A nice shot from Uno lays out Retro. All of a sudden it's a 1v5 with the Alda. You don't have to reload very much with this gun, but he goes to barricade the door and gets caught up in that animation.
So another round going into the favor of G2 this time, as things end up much more into their favor. Into the next round we shall go. 5-4 as G2 just takes control, finally at that tie point. Rec had been running the gauntlet back for quite a while, but failing just when they get to the point where they could turn the game back around. However, at the same time, that was their third site, and the one that I think most people would assume they were least likely to win. Now it's time to rotate back to where they've had the strongest hold so far. That's going to be upstairs inside of Armory Lockers, so G2 are not out of the clear just yet.
The issue for Reciprocity that last round is that they just were not able to get aggressive early on, whereas G2 had all of the map control in about 1 minute and 15 seconds. There wasn't very much for Reciprocity to try and get away from. It was just win your heads-up gunfight or the round's over. And very unlucky for them, they just could not win any of those, especially with Kanto finding that amazing angle early on to get that one tap onto Nyx that we heard.
And he's not the only one as well. Like I said, strategical and surgical almost is often the name of the game for G2.
I think surgical is the best way to put G2 right now.
That's exactly how those first 2 kills went their way. Lock them down, 2 quick headshots. They've now got a 5v3.
I mean, technically speaking, you're always only 5 bullets away from victory. Just shoot them all.
Just click on heads.
Just click it once.
Just click on the heads.
It's one time. That's all you need.
This game's easy.
Yeah, this game's super easy.
Just gotta find the heads.
You can use any gun in this game. It kills people.
Just pistol them.
Just shoot them, forehead. What are you doing?
All right, into the round we go. G2 once again up on the plate here. Not going to see any Thermite actually brought into it this time to try and deal with any west wall pressure. They've only got Sir Boss and the Hibana for that. Meaning that may not even be part of their game plan here, trying to get west wall. They could be focusing on an east wall push or trying to get control some other way as well.
A little piece of mechanics inside of Siege in general that's been added in recent history. Again, we know that Six Invitational is a time where a lot of new people and people that just haven't watched Siege for a while flood in. You can actually move faster with your pistol now. So when you have your pistol out, you're able to move faster than when you have your rifle out. So a lot of the times when you see people traveling through the map from spawn or across the map when they know that there's going to be nothing in front of them, you'll see them take out that pistol just to gain a little bit of extra movement speed. Drone does get seen by Foxay that's currently on Dome. He gets rid of that, but now they know he's playing inside of here. He's actually doing quite a bit of damage to that drone economy now. 2 drones missing for G2.
All right, so Sir Boss along with, I think it's Kanto with him on the other side of those east stairs, going to try and move in and take some control. A little bit of pressure going into the windows here too, and most importantly, fending off any presence that might come in. Uno has himself another near lineup, and instead, no, it's going to be Kanto himself that falls. Foxade not having the necessary need to run back out and risk his life once again. He rotates downstairs after killing his first opponent with the C4. He takes out Sir Boss from down below with the hole he just made with a C4. Beautiful stuff from Foxay. Just shows you how 300 IQ this game can get sometimes. And meanwhile, though, Uno's going to run right in, not catching Laxing in the corner. Nyx with the next kill, and it is looking like Reciprocity will not have any issue holding on here at all. Pengu is the last hope for G2, but it will not suffice as Foxay finds yet another kill to shut down Pengu and take out G2 from this round.
Reciprocity fighting fire with fire. Working out pretty well for them on the defensive front. They tie things up once again, but here's the issue. They looked very good on these 2 sites in their prior rotation. It's going to get hard when they get to that match point, though, as they have to go back to customs or tellers, which that was the round that came down to the 1 versus 5 for Laxing, able to claim 2 kills, but couldn't find much more for him there before he was quickly killed off. And that's where the real trouble is going to be, is which poison are you going to pick? Tellers or customs? I'm really feeling like they should just rotate 2 tellers. The customs hold, maybe they need to be a little bit more aggressive. I really don't know what their game plan was with that setup because it seemed very passive to me. They didn't have very much assistance inside of cross setups or anything like that. It just seemed that G2 had a very good read on the situation.
So G2 actually pretty quiet in what is right now their tactical pause. So Just a lot of potentially resetting going on for the team right now, as they try to figure out for themselves how exactly this needs to be played from this point forward. It's another site that they have gone up against before, but like you said, if Tellers is to be the name of the game, I don't think G2 first of all are going to worry that much if we end up going to that fourth and final site instead of going back over towards Customs where we had gone before. Personally, that's because, well, we already saw G2 play into Tellers multiple times, so I would assume that they've got a pretty good attack strategy for it as well. So that's going to be Rec that needs to change things up, as you had mentioned, on the third and final site here. Should we see another win from Rec to be able to close out this series entirely? Otherwise, overtime might be in the future. That's not assuming, or that's assuming, of course, that again, Rec still wins this round right here, which is not a guaranteed thing at all. These rounds have been very close. G2 could also steal this one away and put themselves in control of the matchup as well.
It's so hard not to be excited staring at this 5-5, I can tell you what, especially with Reciprocity playing up against G2. It's just flashbacks, man. Flashbacks all the way to Six Invitational last year on main stage where we saw this matchup, and G2 won pretty handedly. This time around, though, not as easy as Reciprocity is making quick work of this defensive side. G2, after that technical timeout, trying to put the pieces together, and we'll see what their general plan is. Going to be attacking Vent.
Drone activated.
G2 once again, as most teams will see use the first minute or so of this round for additional drone time. We're going to continue to clear out this map and make sure that the initial attack routes, mainly moving into areas. Whoa, not again! Oh no. Almost lining up another easy headshot for himself there at the beginning of the round, but it misses by just pixels against Vertical, so he'll be able to stay alive.
Like 90% positive that the metal lockers were in the way of Sandwich.
Oh, okay.
We're good either way, but still, when you see that lineup, anytime you're looking through a wall, you're like, oh yeah, that guy's dead. That's not a fun one. That ends up working out for him in the end. And it seems that G2 is going to set more of a methodical pace here and try and get more drone game and just capitalize on that information. Because the thing about info inside of Siege is it has a very short shelf life. Once you have it, you have about 5 to 10 seconds. That's usually the sweet spot to capitalize on that info. Otherwise, the info's dead. And there's not much you can do with it. You can call, obviously, Kanto in office. This man rotates all the way to CCTV. In the next 15 seconds, somebody pushes through CCTV because they assume it's clear, and they die to Kanto, and then you get yelled at because they're like, oh, well, you said he was here. Well, that was 15 seconds ago, wasn't it, my friend?
Yeah, drones are often a great way to actually get people out of position for that fact. That a lot, especially like obviously defenders, are going to panic a bit when they see a drone droning them out if they're in a somewhat exposed position.
If someone knows where you are, you're probably dead.
Yep, yeah, so you got to move away from there.
Oh.
Close call bit there. Sir Boss looks like he had moved out just about 2 to 3 seconds before the toss, thankfully, though.
I like that setup, though. They put a soft destruction hole at the top of the wall so a nitro cell could fit through, so that once Pulse Cardiac sends somebody trying to go for the wall, you throw the nitro cell through the hole and blow them up. Very intelligent play from Reciprocity. It's always the little things, folks, that win these rounds.
Speaking of which, down to that last minute once again here for G2.
Oh,
They're going to come in soon. Kanto with a lot of info right now. Not going to go for the hard ping just yet. A little bit of an attempt at a spam to try and catch the pulse. I think he did expose his feet a couple seconds ago through that drone hole. So we're also just moving to take out the default real quick as the team is once again looking to more funnel around the site. And I think swarm in at the last minute. It looks like they've got pretty much complete upstairs control too. This is going to be dangerous for Rec. They've really put themselves up against the wall here. Oh, and now the skeleton key to open it up. Fabian finds the first kill. A near trade coming in. It takes Nyx a moment, but he does eventually find the angle to finish off Fabian. It's traded back. We're right back into a 4v4.
All right, all down to the torch work of Sir Boss. Not very much time left either. He's going to try and softwall the single panel, but it's going to take a while, especially at the angle that he's doing so. He's not going to be able to see the metal. They're going to have to rotate around. Reciprocity still has all of this map pressure upstairs as well. It's getting very scary for G2 and the G2 army. They actually did get it open very quickly. Sir Boss making magic happen with this torch, and now he's got to make some magic happen with this diffuser, but he's going to need G2 to help him. Nitro Cell pours in, but it's not able to stop anyone. Uno with a quick shot takes down one, but Retro immediately trades it, and it just kills back and forth. Sir Boss has to stick this plant, and he does. 40 seconds on the clock now, but it's all left up to Reciprocity. A nice trade here, but it's a 1 versus 2. Actually, a 1 versus 1 between these two. 45 in hand. Sir Boss has been downed. Don't believe he can pick him up. It's in between these two. Retro has an enemy at his feet. Still plenty of time now, though, as Kanto's rotated all the way down the hallway. He didn't kill Sir Boss either, so Sir Boss is a makeshift drone for the time being. A pre-fire, but doesn't claim too much. Looks like he's just going to stick the diffuser, and Sir Boss can read this out to him. He's going to continue to stick it. Does he have time? He's going to get it at the very last second, and that's the issue there for Retro. He doesn't kill the down Sir Boss, and if he did, they would have had no info on him sticking this plant.
Oh my goodness. There was 0.2 seconds left on that defuse, counter defuse. The last time I looked at it, right before he went down, just a second, not even a full second, 0.2 seconds earlier on that, and he would have had what he needed in order to get it. But again, the fatal mistake of leaving his other opponent alive and well knocks them out of a potential win on that round and gives G2 the intel they need to get up to map point first. 6-5. Now the scoreline. One more for G2, and they've got it. But one more for Rec, and we go to OT.
That's just so poor for Reciprocity there at the very end. All it takes is a couple of shots to kill the downed man, but Retro trying to be smarter than that, waiting for the gunfight instead, and it's not going to work out for him, which is just very, very crappy overall. G2 now at match, map, everything point.
All right, guys, and we're going to move through. Work ourselves into this round now. It's looking like catch the site choice, but it's looking like Reciprocity. Yep, they're going to stick with that same site once again. So we'll repeat the Vents defense. It was very close for Rex, so might as well try it again, as they certainly don't want to take a risk on losing this series on either a potentially untested Teller's defense or the failed defense towards Customs.
It was so impressive on how fast Sir Boss was able to get that wall open. Truly impressive torch work there.
Great stuff. Didn't even go for the full wall as well, just did a tiny little segment of it, enough for him to hop through and go for the plant. I think they knew that Rec either didn't have the utility or didn't have the room to push forward and stop that plant. It was sitting right behind that safety box, so works out in G2's favor.
Well, G2 now in the driver's seat between these two, and Sir Boss showing you exactly how he did it the last time. He's very quickly across the wall. Make sure you get that center spire that goes up between the two reinforcements, and you'll have yourself the soft wall. The only thing that you really have to worry about is making sure that you fit yourself into that corner on each side. You want to get as close to that wall as possible when you start your burn, because if you don't, then more than likely a very small pixel of metal will stick and keep that wall soft. Things quickly change now, though, so he's got to wait on some soft destruction to open detention, but it seems like that might just be for a late rotation from Kanto or even Fabian.
More drone presence right now being circled around the map here, as we are going to see a lot of supply and jail control and Customs as an extension of that go over to G2 pretty much for free here. They're going to be able to walk right in. Rec's not going to try too much of resistance onto that one. Note, though, that, again, there's not really much pressure going upstairs for G2 either, so the players that are up there are going to remain safe. And that opens a lot of potential for top-down play in the late round, should they not be cleared out.
Does indeed, but a lot of wasted time here for G2. This is actually going a lot slower than the last round, where they did do that east to west clear. Retro with the first kill onto Fabian. That's a big pick. That's going to be the skeleton key off the board that was in Fabian's hands. This little shot from the Canadian wall, and no, that sounds weird, but trust me, that is indeed it. Reloading. Foxade rotating now into Customs. Unless somebody's inside of the closet, though. He's going to go for a run out instead, but there's not going to be too much for him. He could possibly get this kill inside of stock. He is in such a power position right now. They have no idea where Fox is. There's not a single drone over here, no air jabs, anything. Plant's going to go off. Does he see the man on the ground? Oh my god, he doesn't! Fox! Oh no! That might be the entire round, all because he didn't see the Ash lane down. Pengo and Uno into the post plant, and this is everything for Reciprocity with two of the worst guns to use on the defense. Retro all by himself in a post plant. Is he going to go for the stick? He's got someone very close to his right. He goes for the stick. The stun grenade comes in. He's still trying for it. Does Retro get it? He doesn't get it. Pengu from upstairs, and G2 stops Reciprocity dead in their tracks.
G2 rally just when they needed to, and they will take control in regulation here, ending the final map of the series in their favor, 7-5. G2 claim victory in the first match of the tournament, moving them further along in Group D's upper bracket for Reciprocity. So close, but so many fatal mistakes being made just on these last few rounds costs them the match and sends them down into the depths of the lower bracket for Group D.
Fox A is going to be kicking himself up for that one. That was...
There's almost room to argue that he tries to just go for the window player first, since he's more of an immediate threat.
He didn't even know he was there until he stood up.
But it's the lack of hesitation there that after that initial kill that makes me think he didn't actually see the Ash for whatever reason.
As you know, especially from other games where this is a major thing, trigger discipline, absolutely,
yeah.
right? But the main thing is in how you know that he didn't know that he was laying there, is he didn't flick down after he killed the other guy. Trigger discipline is I have the guy in front of me laying on the ground, kill the guy at the window, quickly flick down and kill the other man. The issue is he didn't know that he was there till he stood up. He assumed that was a dead body or something, or maybe just didn't see Ash.
Didn't register.
And roughly, Reciprocity are going to lose border in the series.
So a potentially huge misstep there, but very closely fought once again. We'll take a look at the replays from that matchup as once more Reciprocity bringing a lot of flair to the table, but not enough to get past G2 at the end of the day. Starts off, of course, as we can see here, Reciprocity and G2 both kind of trading blows at the beginning of this matchup.
Very impressive game overall by both of these teams, and I think that there's one thing that stands out to everybody. Number one, G2, Clubhouse really don't mix on offense, or excuse me, on really either side of the coin, but specifically on offense for that one. But the main thing is, G2 is still a LAN team. They don't really care if they lose the map, they care about the series, and they carried it through to the very end, and they ended up beating Reciprocity, which, again, we thought, especially for the Clubhouse game, that was going to be a little bit more difficult, especially rolling into border where NA really likes to play. Just Reciprocity didn't have it when it came down to it.
Along with a few other key issues there for Reciprocity as well. Issues with some innovating on their rotates or their takes when they ran into, there was that half wall push, for instance, that they tried to get on one round where they could have probably managed it a little bit better if they had either sandwich control or a little bit of presence working its way in from Office or Archives. We just didn't see that until very late into the round. There were a few instances of similar examples like that where it was happening, where Reciprocity could have changed things up a bit and be able to take much easier control of the round or just outright not lose it, but we didn't see those things happen. That was the anti-theory, though, because that's what we were constantly seeing from G2, was either a hesitation to execute until they knew that they had security in it, or they just wouldn't make the play. They would rotate, they would adjust as needed, and then execute when they had absolute security.
Yeah, I think that the main thing that highlights throughout this entire series for me is that G2 is very good at coming back from these very weird instances.
Yeah.
Like, they were going for plant right there. They have just someone come out of the woodwork that is Foxe, and they're able to capitalize even on that. Just, stands up, able to get a kill. But even throughout all of their Consulate game, they were able to show the same amount of prowess. I think that G2 is honestly back. I wouldn't recommend Clubhouse, but overall...
With that black mark out of the way.
Yeah, just make that one go away. We're just going to redact that very quickly. That never happened. So, but overall, on the two maps that were competitive, G2 proved why they're here, why they got the invite, why they are the kings of majors inside Rainbow Six Siege.
And a good spread of individual performances too. We had great plays from Uno, of course, that goes without saying, in the final map, but Pengu and Fabian both having really good plays back on Consulate as well throughout numerous rounds. So once again, you're still seeing those strong players show up when they need to. Again, kind of acting as though we ignore Clubhouse for the time being until we either see that get played again or try to see how they're going to handle that in future matchups.
Yeah, wow, and over on the other stream, actually, BDS versus Wildcard, apparently very fast, very quick 2-0 there, so, hey.
Not too surprised from that one, personally. Like I said,
no, I'm not.
I think that was going to be a pretty safe BDS match. It was more whether it was going to be 2 or 3, so...
I looked at it as Shaiko on land is going to be terrifying.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see the stats. I can definitely tell you that. But there's still plenty of Siege action to go, folks. So make sure you guys lock in or are paying attention to that clock for our next matchup. We'll be seeing you in a few.